Live from the hot air balloon capital of the world, this is Balloon Fiesta Live. The 47th edition of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, presented by Canon, is happening now in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And now, please enjoy the Dawn Patrol Show and your announcer, Glen Moyer.
We need the soundtrack.
Allison.
Your soundtrack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
She can be Ruth.
Okay. From the furthest reaches around the world to points near and far across this great nation, we gather together as one at a magical place here in the high mountain desert. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to carry me away. The music you hear signals the opening event of the 47th edition of the greatest spectacle in all of lighter-than-air flight. Welcome, one and all, to the world's premier balloon event, the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, presented by Canon. Hello and good morning. I'm your announcer, Glen Moyer, and I'm honored to mark my 29th consecutive year lending my commentary to this world-class event. Let's begin this morning with the 22nd anniversary edition of the Dawn Patrol Show. It's brought to you by Route 66 Casino Hotel and RV Park. Ladies and gentlemen, this one is called The Big One. The Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta is by far the most highly recognized ballooning event in the world. It began 46 years ago to celebrate the 50th anniversary of radio station 770 KOB, now known, of course, as KKOB. That little gathering of just 13 balloons has blossomed into what you'll be enjoying here today. Soon, we'll hear as each pilot reports in that they are cold, packed, and ready. This means that each aircraft is full of cold air, forced into the balloon by a gasoline-powered fan, and that the pilot is at his or her burner, ready to turn on the fire and hot inflate. Once they are upright, the balloons will perform something of a mini glow for you, lighting up their burners and giving you a great photo op this morning. Soon after, they'll then begin to rise into the pre-dawn skies to show us the way in what direction the winds will take our balloons today. So stand by for the stand-up and launch of this morning's Route 66 Casino Hotel and RV Park Dawn Patrol Show. Okay, Balloon Fiesta fans, it's time now to pay close attention. The pilots are now going to begin flicker burns to add heat to their aircraft. Watch now as these short bursts of propane-fueled flames are illuminating our Dawn Patrol balloons spread across row M of Balloon Fiesta Park. Then with a little bit more heat, the balloons will rise together in just a few minutes. All right, it's time to get them up. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for the Route 66 Casino, Hotel, and RV Park Dawn Patrol Show, all on Pilots Hot Inflation. Pilots, go hot. And it's time now, ladies and gentlemen, for you to become a part of our Dawn Patrol show. Please give us your vocal cards and your good energy this morning to help count down the Dawn Patrol for our very first all burn of the morning. Pilots, we begin in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All burn. Pilots, light them up. And it's time now, ladies and gentlemen, to say hello and good morning to our Route 66 Casino, Hotel, and RV Park Dawn Patrol team. We begin with Scott Vesley from St. Paul, Texas, flying Lighthouse Business Information Solutions. Next is Rick Jones from Concord, New Hampshire, flying his brand new balloon, High Polarity. Next is Andy Wayner from El Paso, Texas, flying Hubba Bubba. And there's Bill Armstrong from Goodyear, Arizona, flying his balloon Band of Gold. Joining us too is Stan Hess from St. Peters, Pennsylvania, in the Wicked Balloon. Claire Wade Callahan is from Houston, Texas, flying her balloon Emerald Charm, sponsored by Subway. Tim Taylor from Holiday, Utah, is in D3. Michael Scott from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, flies Spirits Rainbow. Brian Carlson of Topeka, Kansas, flies Dreams Fulfilled. Matt Grote of Rio Rancho, New Mexico, flies Jester Unwinds. Dale Ruth from Albuquerque, New Mexico, flying Dawn's Delight. And finally, Chuck Schick from Bosque Farms, New Mexico, in Brilliant Shadow. Okay, Dawn Patrol, this time let's do a flicker burn. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please help count them down. We do it in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Flicker burn, Dawn Patrol, flicker burn. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the passengers, those lucky enough to fly with Dawn Patrol this morning, have loaded into the baskets. The pilots and crew have readied their aircraft for flight. It's almost time for us to send them off, but as we go, we do need your help. We'd like to ask the balloon crews, or we will say the balloon crews will need time to pack their things up and give chase. So we ask that you please give them room to move the vehicles about, and if asked, please clear a path so they can get out and in chase of their aircraft this morning. Before we go, one more time for an all burn and the start of the Dawn Patrol show launch. Once again, please join our countdown in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All burn, Dawn Patrol. And now let's watch and enjoy as the Dawn Patrol balloons leave the ground and take to the pre-dawn skies as it's time again to carry me away.
Oh, there he goes.
Our first balloon to launch today this morning, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is Michael Scott, who is flying in honor of Buzz Wills, a longtime member of the Dawn Patrol show who recently and very unexpectedly passed away. Yeah. One of our next balloons up, ladies and gentlemen, is Tim Taylor in a brand new Cameron Z105. That's the Stars and Stripes flag balloon you see. It's a replacement for what was a 22-year-old flag balloon he'd been flying. Nice to have Tim with us again in a brand new balloon. Also airborne now in the balloon that has the navy blues, greens, yellows, and reds and oranges leading to the white zigzagged banner in the center. That is Brian Carlson from Topeka, Kansas in Dreams Fulfilled. And just launching now too. Just launching now in the yellow balloon. There you see it on our feed. That is Matt Grote from Rio Rancho, New Mexico in Jester Unwinds. Claire Wade Callahan, you see on the feed there, is from Houston, Texas, flying her balloon, Emerald Dream, sponsored by Subway. That green balloon with those purple and gold and yellow stripes through the sides of the balloon. Just climbing into the sky is Bill Armstrong from Goodyear, Arizona in Band Gold, and his balloon is easily identifiable. You see that band of gold and yellow. There he is glowing for you just across the center of the balloon. Those of you watching the Balloon Fiesta live stream, see him on your screen. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware of it, our feed is going out onto the big video boards down at the center of the field, so you can watch the action there and get some close-up views of the balloons like Band of Gold right there. And they're defying gravity, as you see on the side of the balloon. If you're a fan of Broadway shows, you'll know this balloon. It's the Wicked balloon. Stan Hess out of St. Peters, Pennsylvania, flying Wicked. One of my favorite Broadway shows. Also already airborne, I think he snuck away when I wasn't looking, is Dale Ruth out of Albuquerque, New Mexico in Dawn's Delight. We saw his balloon on the screen just a few moments ago. We'll try and spot him for you again. And they're just going airborne now is Andy Waynard from El Paso. His balloon is called Hubba Bubba. That's the yellow and purple balloon with the navy blue stripes. Right dead center on your screen there now. And there's a wonderful shot. Well, just disappeared off the screen. That was Rick Jones and his brand new balloon called High Polarity. Rick is here all the way from Concord. There he is, from Concord, New Hampshire. You can also get a glimpse, if you're watching the video feed or the big video boards down in the center of the field, of the laser light show going on behind our Dawn Patrol team. Another daily feature here at Balloon Fiesta. And getting airborne over closest to Main Street is our Dawn Patrol show producer. That is Scott Besley out of St. Paul, Texas, flying Lighthouse Business Information Systems. You can also see the laser light show, some of the laser beams dancing on the sides of the balloon this morning. There you can see the laser light show. Look at those laser beams, like sunbeams in the early pre-dawn sky against the backdrop of our Dawn Patrol show this morning. And ladies and gentlemen, as the Dawn Patrol balloons drift away to enjoy their day, we'd like to once again give a special thanks to the sponsor of our show, the Route 66 Casino Hotel and RV Park. We'd also like to thank you for being here so very early this morning and being a part of our show. For now, I'm your announcer, Glen Moyer, and we'll visit with you again very soon with my colleague, Art Lloyd Jr., as we get ready for another spectacular mass ascension here at the 47th edition of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, the world's premier balloon event presented by Canon. And ladies and gentlemen, as the Dawn Patrol team has drifted away, or continues to drift away, the balloons you see on the field now are our next act of the morning. This is our Krispy Kreme balloon glow. These balloons will be static on the field and glowing for your pleasure as we move on towards sunrise. And this morning's opening ceremony is our national anthem. And we have some very exciting things happening for you this morning on the first day of this 47th edition of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. So enjoy the Krispy Kreme glow. And Art Lloyd and I will be back with you very, very soon.
Live from the hot air balloon capital of the world, this is Balloon Fiesta Live. The 47th edition of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, presented by Canon, is happening now in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And now, live direct from the rooftop studio at Balloon Fiesta Park, here are Glen Moyer and Lloyd Jr.
And ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the 47th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. I'm Glen Moyer. This is my colleague Lloyd Jr. And boy, do we have another great morning and another great year already started.
We do, and it is great to be here with you again. The 47th annual Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. Of course, we are moving forward with our opening ceremonies here. We saw a great Dawn Patrol show this morning.
We did.
And Krispy Kreme donuts up here this morning. And opening day of the 47th anniversary edition of the International Balloon Fiesta, brought to you by Canon.
And we've got Balloon Fiesta weather.
It's cool.
The sky is perfectly clear. It's just gorgeous out this morning. It's cold, too. A little chilly
It's a little cool.
I'm probably a little overbundled, but
you know, just 2 days ago it was very warm here.
It was indeed.
And so, hey, we've got just a second or two to tell folks that, of course, we are online on Facebook, on YouTube, on the Balloon Fiesta website, and we would love for you to share that feed out there to anyone. Okay, so they're just telling us we're on hold for just a second or so on that launch there. So as we were saying about the feed there, the idea is that share that out so that we can have folks all around the world be able to enjoy this spectacular event.
We've already been watching the Facebook feed, and we can see I've seen friends from all around the world already saying good morning and hello. We know that, for example, my friend Ina Vanderkratz is watching from the Netherlands. I've seen some folks from the UK say hello this morning, so we are going out worldwide.
Italy, Spain, and Ecuador are the three countries I've seen.
Okay, and you can also watch our feed if you're here at Balloon Fiesta Field. You can also watch on the big video boards down near the middle of the field, right near our main entertainment stage, so you can see it there as well.
And if you've noticed, we have a great new set this year, and kind of upped our production value a little bit here. So we've got some other surprises for you. We won't spoil it yet.
And we've got a great, exciting morning coming up. I know we have some surprise events that we've not done in the past.
Right.
So, this is a morning that if you haven't seen the opening ceremonies, this will be a good one to see because it's going to be a good one. Special.
It really is. I missed. All right, so here is our national anthem. Please perform for us by Imelda Aaron Coriz.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the balls bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Imelda Aaron Coriz with our national anthem and our Chile flight flyover and the candlestick burn from our balloon pilots here this morning. Kicking off The opening ceremonies of this, the 47th annual Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, presented by Canon.
And as always, we have our first balloons of the day up. And this morning, our two balloons of the day are, of course, the Fiesta balloon and our presenting sponsor, the Cannon balloon. That's Johnny Petron flying for Cannon. And Judge Judy is flying the Fiesta balloon today. Is that correct?
That is Judge Supreme Court Chief Justice.
Oh, my goodness.
Judith Nakamura.
There you go.
Got to get all those pieces in there.
And you saw the quick video of our flyover this morning. That was done by a group called Chili Flight, made up of 7 pilots, all flying Vans RV. Those are sport aircraft. They all live here in the Albuquerque area. Chili Flight's been flying together for 6 years with over 365 formation flights in both practice and in support of aviation and public and military events and funerals, as well as missing man flights. Together, they have over 250 years of accumulated flying experience, and I dare say we've got more than that represented in all our balloons that we'll be seeing this morning here, Art. A lot of years of flying for a number of the pilots that are with us here at Balloon Fiesta.
Right, but we have 550 pilots here. We've got, I got to tell you this, we talked a little bit about our set here.
Yeah.
We have, in addition to you and me, we have 2 reporters with us.
Another new element this year.
All 4 of us not only have years of broadcast experience, but years of ballooning experience.
That's true.
And it goes over 120 years.
Well, that's just because I'm so old.
Well, I wasn't going to go there. That
Okay.
You're keeping the average up. But that's where we are with that.
Yeah, and our 2 field reporters are our very good friends Kim Vesley, who's longtime associated here with Balloon Fiesta, and I think she was your flight instructor. Do I have that right?
Actually, that is right. Kim brought me into the world of ballooning, asked me if I wanted to come out and take a flight. Came out and started crewing with her after a couple of years. I learned to fly, actually bought her balloon when she sold it, flew it for a number of years. As she moved away, she's come back, still very good friends with her. She still flies. In fact, she's up with Judy in the Fiesta balloon
this morning. And in fact, her son, Scott, is the Dawn Patrol show producer. And then our other field reporter is my longtime friend and colleague. She was my predecessor as editor of Ballooning Magazine, Ruth Lind. And for a while, we were competitors when I was editor at Balloon Life and she was editor at Ballooning. But she's a very experienced hot air and gas balloon pilot. She's actually flown in the gas race out here. So all 4 of us, as you say, we all have the perspective of knowing a little bit about ballooning.
And having first-hand experience there.
As having the gift of gab, as we all do as well. I think that's a prerequisite for this job.
Well, it is. It is. So, of course, the Cannon balloon and the Fiesta balloon up in the sky, the ones standing up along the middle of the field there are Krispy Kreme Balloon Glow. Krispy Kreme, the sponsor of the Morning Glow. 13 balloons stand there, balloons up for the Krispy Kreme Glow. The number 13 significant in 2 ways. One, it gets us a baker's dozen of balloons standing up.
Yes.
And the other goes back to 1972, the very first Balloon Fiesta had 13 balloons actually make it. We had 21 scheduled to get here. It was in April of 1972, and there was some weather issues and transportation issues in getting balloon systems here. So 21 scheduled, 13 actually flew. That's the other significance of 13 balloons for our Krispy Kreme balloon Morning Glow.
Okay. And they were, of course, the balloons, as you said, that were some of them still standing on the field. They didn't launch, but they stood up. And we're glowing just as our Dawn Patrol team drifted away this morning. And speaking of Krispy Kreme, it does look like their balloon now is just going airborne right in front of the main stage. And so they've wrapped up their glow, and now they're going to take part in this morning's balloon flight. There you see a nice picture of it on the feed. Beautiful red-orange balloon with the gold and yellow in the center, and, of course, carrying that banner for Krispy Kreme. That donut looks awfully good right about now, actually.
How long would it take you to eat a donut that size?
I don't know, but I'd be willing to try. You know, it's early.
So
do we have Ruth with us down on the field?
Flying that Krispy Kreme balloon, by the way, is Jeff Duff from Albuquerque here. And the name of the balloon there is Sincerely.
And we have the Intel balloon standing here in front of Sponsor Row. And we do have Ruth Lynn now live with us on the field. So let's pitch it out to Ruth and find out what she's up to early this morning. Go ahead, Ruth.
Good morning, Glenn. Good morning, Art. It has been such a beautiful Dawn Patrol morning and the Dawn Glow. I had a lot of fun watching one of my former balloons take off this morning. The Band of Gold was actually called Soulmate when she was brand new, and she was flying out of Post Mills, Vermont. I expect to see quite a few of my friends in the air this morning, and we are just having a wonderful time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ruth. And we're very lucky to have Ruth as part of our team this year because normally she is heavily involved with the command team that runs the America's Challenge gas balloon race. And for those of you that don't know, we are not having a gas balloon event this year because the Gordon Bennett balloon race, which is the most prestigious long-distance gas balloon race in the world, just wrapped up a few days ago. In fact, two of our pilots, Mark Sullivan and Sherry Edwards-White, one of the USA teams, are both here, but they literally both arrived within the last 24 hours coming back from Europe, and so it simply wasn't possible for us to get all of the international pilots and the balloons shipped overseas and here in time to have the America's Challenge race. So that event is not happening this year, and by virtue of that, we're very lucky to have Ruth with us as one of our Balloon Fiesta Live team members this year, and we'll have to see if she chooses us or the gas race when we bring it back next year.
Right, because we are expecting to bring the America's Challenge back next year.
Absolutely.
So I do see Stuart Enlow taking his spiral checkered shape up with the nice square banner up there. That's high and low. Stuart is from Woodstock, Georgia, taking off from the far south end of the field, and Glenn mentioned the Intel balloon. Sean Askren putting the Intel balloon up from the south end. This is a mass ascension, which means we're going to launch all 550 balloons or so from here on the field. We do it in a couple of waves, and we kind of do it in two parts as we go. We start at the middle of the field and at the very south end of the field and work our way north. So as Stuart and Sean have gotten the square and the Intel balloons in the sky, others are inflating on the south end. The Krispy Kreme folks that we've been talking about kind of mark the middle of the field. And inflating right behind them are all of the Rainbow Riders balloons. Rainbow Riders being the official concessionaire balloon ride provider, if you will, here at Balloon Fiesta Park. They have their own tent just behind concession row, about row P. And I know that they were mostly sold out for the week. But there's always no-shows and cancellations, so if you were looking to get a balloon ride, you could check with the Rainbow Riders folks. Again, they are along row P, and their tent is just behind concession row, that long row of white tents on the east side of the field.
And speaking of Mark Sullivan, who was, as we said, representing the United States in the Gordon Bennett race, I believe that's his balloon inflating just here at the far south end of the field, the bright red balloon with the black, white, red, and yellow spiral in it. And then directly behind him, the white balloon with the broad stripes of primary colors. That, I believe, would be Sherry Edwards-White, who is his co-pilot in the gas flight. And both here flying hot air this year.
I asked Sherry how their flight was, and she said it was very pretty.
It was an amazing Gordon Bennett race.
It really was.
A lot of people were glued. They had live tracking, and a lot of people around the world were watching it. It was an amazing flight. Congratulations. If I recall, the team from Poland, I believe, won the event this year. But one of our USA teams, Andy Caton, and his co-pilot were in second place. So barely missed out on bringing the Gordon Bennett. We've actually hosted the Gordon Bennett here at the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta in years past. And Andy and his co-pilot just missed out by a couple of 100 kilometers in bringing home.
It sure looked like they were going to win for a very long time.
It did, until the Polish team made that maneuver right straight through that very small slice of free airspace to get some extra distance at the very end of the race. That is Sherry Edwards-White, I'm sure, standing up her balloon for Touchstone Energy there.
A moment ago, we saw the bright yellow balloon with the black bird on the side of it. That's Bird Willie. Tony Polito from Inlet Beach, Florida is flying that one overhead for us. We saw that one take off. That red, white, and blue pattern that's on the center of the screen going off, that's going to be high maintenance too. Keith Lutz, formerly of Albuquerque, now from somewhere down in St. Louis.
Okay. Somewhere down in
it took me a moment to remember where it was.
That's okay. It's the beginning of the week. We can't have those kinds of mental blanks this early, Art.
Well,
we should be more alert than that.
That part was from memory.
That's okay.
So.
It's early in the morning, and I understand.
And the sun's not quite up yet.
There is the Cool Beans balloon team standing up. They are also flying the banner for our sponsors, La Mesa RV. They're the blue, green, red, and yellow spiral balloon with the beans around the bottom. And I remember some years ago when I first saw that balloon here, I thought those were pickles around the bottom of the balloon, and I was rather rudely informed. The balloon is called Cool Beans, you dummy.
There you go. I guess they could look like pickles.
Well, they did to me.
At least from afar.
They look as much like pickles as
there's
they do.
Mark Sullivan standing his balloon up. The red, black, and white spirals going up. And the white one behind him is the one you were talking about.
Right,
is Sherry there.
Edwards White there in the Touchstone Energy balloon right behind him. They often fly as co-pilots together in gas ballooning events, but this year, since there is no America's Challenge, they're here flying with us. Of course, Mark is also the president of the Ballooning Commission of the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale, which is the official sanctioning body for air sports events worldwide. And yesterday at the Anderson Abruzzo Albuquerque Balloon Museum, we had the induction of 2 new members into the FAI's International Ballooning Hall of Fame. My dear friend, well known to many balloonists worldwide, Per Lindstrand, one of the 2 inductees, and it was great to see Per yesterday afternoon, and what an honor for him, and quite thrilled for that. But that was all hosted over at the museum as a part of the FAI and the Ballooning Commission, and Mark is the sitting president of the Balloon Commission, representing ballooning interest worldwide.
Great shot of the Rainbow Riders balloons all standing up, getting ready to take those folks on their balloon ride and their bucket list. Right above them, the multi-shades of green with the black spirals there. That's Emerald Jack Laughlin from Aurora, Oregon. It's Jack's first year here, so welcome, Jack.
Wow, got a rookie in the bunch.
Right there in the middle of it all.
There he is on screen.
There it is.
Getting us some screen time for him. Yeah, the Rainbow Riders, of course, are an Albuquerque company owned and operated by Scott Appleman. But we have so many ride requests during Balloon Fiesta that a number of commercial ride operators from all around the country come in and are contracted through Scotty and Rainbow Riders to provide enough basket space for us to give the balloon rides to all the folks that are seeking them here during Balloon Fiesta, an opportunity for you to see Balloon Fiesta from the eyes of a balloon pilot. And as you were saying, they're well sold throughout the week already, but there probably are a few opportunities to still get on board.
Rainbow Riders, you said, here in Albuquerque, they also have places in Colorado Springs.
That's true.
Las Vegas, Nevada, Phoenix, and Scottsdale, Arizona. Of course, those 2 cities run right together there. But a number of operations available with Rainbow Riders around the country, or at least here in the southwestern part of the United States.
Just in front of us is the Dr. Pepper balloon, and being from Texas, I'm well familiar with that. You're weaned on Dr. Pepper. It is, of course, originally a Texas product, and I think, did we say we had Ruth ready or just about ready? She's ready. Ruth has some guests down on the field, so let's go once again down to the Balloon Fiesta Field Park, or Balloon Fiesta Park Field, and Ruth Lynn.
Hey, you guys, we have a ballooning family here with us today. Tell me your names.
I'm Brayden.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Cameron.
And you guys have a balloon here on the field. Which one is it?
Its name is Vacation.
And where does Vacation fly from?
It comes from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, so you're local pilots. How many times have you come out to Fiesta?
A bunch of times.
A bunch of times?
Yeah.
Like ever since you were little?
Yeah.
And tell me about your outfit here. That's pretty wicked right there.
It's a Pikachu onesie. I was this for Halloween last year.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, you guys. Glenn, what do you think?
Hey, Ruth, I'm wondering if Cameron knows that his name is rather famous in ballooning. Of course, Don Cameron. You might tell him about that.
Cameron, do you know that your name is very famous in the world of ballooning?
I'm Cameron. Yes. Because my name's Cameron.
Because your name's Cameron, and do you know what Cameron is famous for?
Cameron Balloons.
Well, there.
There you go, a real ballooning
family.
us.
Absolutely, yeah. And Cameron can go over and visit the Cameron Balloons tent while he's here. A number of the manufacturers do have exhibits here. You can actually, if you get bit by the bug and decide you want a hot air balloon, you can buy one right here at Balloon Fiesta and Cameron Balloons, Lynn Strand, probably Kubacek. I'm not quite sure how many of them are over there, but just out in front of and to the south end of the Sid Cutter Pilot Pavilion, we do have all of the manufacturers with their displays and exhibits on hand, and they have representatives here happy to talk to you about how you can get into the sport of ballooning and maybe be here one year as a pilot yourself.
And there's nothing like it.
There
we have the
isn't.
Dr. Pepper balloon that you mentioned earlier there. The actual name of that balloon, of course, it's carrying the banner, Dr. Pepper, one of the
Right.
official soft drinks here. The name of the balloon itself is La Cumbria, and it's from Bogota, Colombia. Kevin Haynes flying that. And right next to the Dr. Pepper balloon, the ever-famous Zia balloon, yellow with the red Zia, the red pennants there. One of the McConnell family,
I was gonna
long-time
say, that's-
group there. Tom McConnell, and I don't know if we're on the third or the fourth Tom McConnell flying it.
I'm not sure either, but you know, the original Dr. Tom McConnell has been my friend for years, has written a couple of great books about safety in the sport of ballooning, been a contributor to Ballooning Magazine through the years as well, and now, as you say, a second, third, or maybe even fourth generation of his family now flying the balloon. And you'll see multiple Zias, by the way. We have this one, which is yellow with a red Zia. There's also a red balloon with a yellow Zia.
Yes.
And then there is a blue, and the Zia, by the way, is the Indian sign for sun, if you're not understanding what we're talking about. You see it there on the screen. And then there is a blue one that has, I think, a red and yellow.
Red and yellow.
Zia. So there's
And-
three.
And actually, Dr. Tom McConnell pointed out to me that there is a fourth one.
Oh?
And I had to ask him, I said, I don't remember a fourth one. He told me it is a green balloon. And when he pointed it out to me, it's the preventive pest control balloon. We focus in on the green and the black spider and the bug on the side.
Right.
But part of their preventive pest control logo has a white Zia in the background on it.
Well, we'll
So
have to watch for that.
We'll have to watch for that one and point that out when we get to that point. So we were just talking, Ruth was just talking with the folks from the vacation balloon. That's it on the screen there. Blue at the top and the bottom, the yellow, red, and white checks with the yellow pennants there. That is the vacation balloon. Usually flies out of Taos. The kids said Albuquerque. They were probably trying to say, well, how do we tell everybody it's Taos? But
Yeah, well,
so
and Taos is just a few miles, about 2.5 hours north of
two
here,
and a
I
half
think.
hours north. Yeah.
I was actually trying to help one of our special shape balloons that'll be here later this week, was in town early and wanted to do a photo op over a certain type of scenery, and we were looking at locations possibly for them to fly up in Taos. I think eventually they settled on Santa Fe. We're going to go out and try and fly Red Rocks in Gallup, but the weather didn't cooperate for that a few days ago, as I understand it. I haven't figured out yet how you find these balloons so fast in the spotter's guide. I'm sitting here scrolling through hundreds of balloons.
Well, I just saw what I think is one of our new special shapes on the screen there, and I'm trying to.
I saw it too. So we're both.
We're going to have
scrolling down our iPads.
Well, with
I was
100,
scrolling
basically just
along.
under 100 special shapes registered here. Of course, we feature them on Thursday and Friday with a rodeo in the morning and a glowdeo in the evening, all, of course, which will continue to be streamed live here on Balloon Fiesta Live, Facebook, YouTube. Simplest way, go to balloonfiesta.com and click on the live stream button there. It'll bring up the YouTube feed and give you a link directly to the Facebook page as well. We're going to be streaming all 14 events live from our rooftop studio here this morning.
Yeah, as we like to say, it's a 9-day. We're here all 9 days, 2 shows daily. And somewhere I'm sure there's a tip jar. I'm not haven't located it yet, but we'll get one out there somewhere.
We'll be here all week.
And
yeah.
Cameron's Balloon Vacation is now airborne. You see it up on the video screen. Again, the blue balloon with the red, yellow, and white checkered band around the center.
And we talked about Dr. Pepper taking off from the south end of the field here as well.
Do we not have a special shape section in the spotter's guide somewhere?
We do. If you go back to any of the one pages, just pick any page right now.
Any page.
Just any balloon.
Any page.
And down on the lower left, there's
where it says shapes?
Where it says shapes. That would be the one. So.
Ruth has been busy finding people to talk to this morning, so while I scroll through my shapes on the iPad, let's throw it back down to Ruth. Who have you got for us, Ruth?
Oh my goodness, I have one of my absolute favorite balloon pilot friends for I don't know, do we want to tell them how many years?
It's been too long.
We have John Davis here with us. John is on the Balloon Fiesta Board of Directors. John and I actually made 2 gas flights together back in the day. And on our last one, what did we decide?
That we were done. We were through camping in the air.
It really is camping, I tell you what. A 3x5 basket for however many days you're in the air, and darn didn't we have a good time.
We sure did. Yeah, it was a great fun. But it's time to move on from things like that. Now the Holiday Inn Express is roughing it, so.
Well, yeah, but we're not exactly roughing it this year. We are fortunate to have RVs up at the top of the hill, so we don't have too very far to travel in the morning.
We don't, but that's kind of handy. But all of the board stays out here, and that's part of our job, is to be around and be handy to answer questions or to take care of problems that come up. And
we have so few problems that come up, really. I mean, when you think about all the balloons we have flying out here this week.
Well, we have, 550 approximately. We've got some great new special shapes. We'll be, a couple more years we're going to be celebrating 50 Fiestas, so that's an amazing accomplishment. But you look around, and you've been out here showing the crowds and everything else, and it's a spectacular morning.
Tell me, John, you have been at Balloon Fiesta for so many years. What's your absolute favorite part of the week?
I think really the favorite part of the week is watching the crowds. Particularly the kids. To see the kids. Of course I still do that too, so it's okay. But I think watching the kids enjoy themselves and seeing balloons, and the fact that we can get up close to them, talk to the pilots, ask questions, that kind of thing makes it better for the crowd.
It really does. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It was my pleasure.
Art.
Your new job.
So
thanks, Ruth.
Yes, thanks, Ruth, and thanks, John. We should mention we were talking about all the connections we have with all the people here.
Yep.
John Davis actually gave me my check ride, because that's part of the requirements to become a pilot, is to actually take an examiner for a flight and prove that you can fly the balloon. John Davis actually gave me my check ride.
I have a connection with John as well. I won't say how many years ago, but some time ago, I was not always the biggest supporter of the Balloon Federation of America, and of course I've been editor of the magazine, Ballooning Magazine, for 18 years now. But back in my youth, when I'm my wildering crazier days, I didn't always align myself with what the BFA was doing, and John and his late wife Carol sat me down out here one year at Albuquerque and said, you can either be a part of the problem or you can be a part of the solution. You need to get on board. If you don't like things, become a part of it and help solve it. And I did that, and lo and behold, now 18 years I'm enjoying as editor of Ballooning Magazine, and it's in very large part to that sort of barnyard talking to that I had from John and Carol, and I've always appreciated that from the two of them, and always great to see John here.
And that's kind of the way John is. He's right up front about it.
Absolutely right in your face about it. And but I've
very
always
polite but firm. And here's where it is, and this is what it's all about.
But I've always treasured that conversation with him that day. It certainly changed my career.
I'll never forget that check ride I was telling you about. I've done the flight. I believe I've done everything well enough to pass my test. We're starting to pack the balloon up, and he says, go ahead and let your crew finish packing up. Come on over here. Let's talk about the flight. So we went over, and he hands me this pink piece of paper, and he says, have you ever seen one of these? And I read across the top, and it says, notice of disapproval, or I forgot what it says here. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, what did I do wrong on my flight? I'm racing through. People talk about their life racing through. I raced through the whole flight, and I had to say, no. And he grabbed it back and he says, well, you won't have to look at it again, and handed me the yellow approval one.
Yeah.
So,
and we all have those check ride stories. I remember when I did my check ride out in California, my examiner, John Wallace, told me after the oral question, he said, well, congratulations, you passed. And so we all go to breakfast and we're having champagne, and we're sitting there at breakfast. He says, oh, a couple of things I forgot to ask you. And I went, wait a minute.
Wait, I already passed.
I've already passed. The exam's over. There ain't none of this I forgot to ask you stuff. But I'm sure you can ask any pilot out there, and
everyone
has a story from their check ride. That's always one of those real prime moments in your ballooning career when you take your check ride.
Well, there's nothing like getting that. I mean, the first solo flight that you have, passing your check ride and being able to have that certificate to go forward.
Sense of accomplishment is amazing.
It's definitely something that you remember forever.
The McConnells are moving the Zia balloon, and it's just now getting airborne. We talked about the McConnells a moment ago, and also over just above the Sid Cutter Pilot Pavilion. Take a look at that balloon. That is the Carousel. Beautiful balloon with incredible hand-painted artwork all around it. And speaking of incredible, I mentioned earlier the ceremony yesterday inducting 2 new members into the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale's International Ballooning Hall of Fame, which is housed in a beautiful new exhibit, by the way, at the Anderson Abruzzo
nice?
Museum. So you definitely need to make that a must-see while you're here. And we have the newest inductee into the Hall of Fame, Per Lindstrand. And Per is down with Ruth, so let's go back down to the field, and Ruth Lynn and her guest, Per Lindstrand.
Oh my goodness, we have the latest inductee into the International Ballooning Hall of Fame with us this morning. We're so happy to have Per Lindstrand with us here on the field. When did you get into town, Per?
Yesterday night, yes.
Last night. Well, we were talking at the Hall of Fame ceremony yesterday afternoon about the flight that you made out of my home state of Maine to cross the Atlantic. Why ever in the world did you pick Maine?
Well, it happened to be quite close to the Atlantic, and the airflow is right over there, so the jet stream is coming right over Maine normally.
And how you were up at Sugarloaf, correct?
Yes, and they'll give you shelter for takeoff because you're in the mountain, the whole of the mountains there.
That's right. And how long were you in the air for that flight?
35 hours.
35 hours. But then on your second cross-ocean balloon flight, you flew across the Pacific and you thought you were going to land in California, and so you wore your flip-flops and t-shirts and everything. And tell us about how that one finally worked out.
Well, our weatherman Bob Rice said, I'm going to get you within 20 miles of Sacramento. So when we landed in Yellowknife, which is 1,760 miles to the north, we had no winter clothing whatsoever. It was minus 30 degrees. It was very cold.
Oh my goodness. Well, what are you working on these days?
Well, we're trying to get around the world another time, this time purely hot air. No helium, just hot air.
And who will you be flying with on this flight?
It's got to be the man with the big teeth again.
Give us a name.
Well, he's the one who's trying to get into space with Virgin Galactic.
Well, my goodness, that is going to be quite a flight. When do you think you'll get that off the ground?
Well, the problem is he says he wanted to do the Virgin Galactic to space first, and that seemed to take forever.
Are you already starting construction on the equipment?
Yes, we have.
And how far along is it?
We're about a quarter of the way along.
And when you're not working on that, what's going on?
Oh, there's plenty of things to do in ballooning. There's lately we did a movie for a 1862 replica for the Glacier flight in England, and it's going to be a major Amazon Prime movie coming out in October next year.
My goodness, well, we'll certainly have to watch that one. I hope you'll come back and visit us again. Will you be here all week?
Not all week, but I'll certainly come back next year.
Okay, great. Well, stop by and see us again while you're here, and thank you so much for joining us, Per.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth, and thank you, Per. It's always good to see you, Per. Per was owned the company Thunder and Colt Balloons at the time that I got my first balloon, and I was saying earlier, one of my great regrets is my first year here as a pilot, I had my balloon inflated and standing on the field waiting for the launch director to send me off, and Per came up and shook my hand and said, have a safe flight, congratulations. And Mike McDonald, who was also a Thunder and Colt guy at the time, was flying with me. And after we launched, Mike said, you know, I think Per wanted to fly with us.
Oh no!
And I thought, oh my God, why didn't I invite him into the basket? And I've never had that opportunity since. But I was in Laredo, Texas, way back in the 80s when Per set an altitude record of 65,000 feet, which was incredible in those days. And I was in the command center in San Jose, California when he did that Trans-Pacific crossing, and did not make it to California and ended up landing up in, as he said, Yellowknife, Canada. One of the funny stories about that, when the balloon landed, the envelope ended up in some trees and it basically was discarded. And there were jokes for months around the balloon team about all the Eskimos up in the north of Canada that were wearing silver Mylar coats because they had all this free balloon fabric, insulated balloon fabric. So great to have Per here, and what a pioneer he's been in the sport of ballooning.
You bet that is. Hey, a lot of things coming here that we've talked about already this morning. We just saw a shot of that preventative pest control balloon.
The others. Oh,
and
I see
there's the
this.
spider
Yeah,
on the
there's
side,
the
but on the
Zia,
other
though.
side there is that
Yeah.
green Zia there,
Right, I
kind of
see
in the
that.
back of their logo there. And we heard from, and I've forgotten the name of our folks interacting with us on Facebook here and sending us comments here, the special shape that we're looking at the back of here.
Oh, right, that we can't find.
That we can't find, and I figured out why. But it is Cynthia the Seal, according to our Facebook viewer here. And it's piloted by Pat Rolfe from Battle Creek, Michigan. The reason we don't see that one in here, that's a second balloon with Pat. His official registered balloon is called Firewalker, and it looks nothing like that. There it goes now. So I see a turning vent there. So, Pat, use the turning vent and turn it around for us because we got you on the screen.
Spin that seal around, will you?
Spin that seal.
And right next to the seal is the Blue Chair Bay balloon. That's a balloon from a recent concert tour of Kenny Chesney.
There you go.
And that is Glow Kehoe who's flying the Blue Chair Bay. And Blue Chair Bay is, I'm trying to remember, I think it's a rum?
It is.
Is it? Yep. And, you know, I've got some great hot chocolate up here. It wouldn't hurt to have a little rum in it. Just saying, Glow. Just saying. You know, at some point. I noticed one of the Hartzels, I think, got into the air. Some of the pilots that were trying to pick out of the sky this morning in their Stars and Stripes, their Texas Racers. I also noticed Ken Walter got into the air. Ken is here from Wisconsin. And there is the Colorado State balloon you can see in the distance, easily identifiable because it's a replica of sorts of the flag of the state of Colorado. You see the blue and white balloon, you see the snow-capped Rocky Mountains up along the top of the balloon, and then the red sea with the gold and yellow sun in that white band around the center of the state of Colorado balloon.
So we saw two balloons that looked with the same pattern just a moment ago. One kind of skinny though, and one kind of wide.
Kind of like us.
Yeah.
One kind of skinny, one kind of wide.
So the skinny one we saw there is unchanged. Jonathan Wright flying the skinny one there. There goes the Kenny Chesney Blue Chair Bay. You know, when it came into the Balloon Fiesta that the Blue Chair Bay balloon was going to be here. Of course, everyone wanted to know if Kenny Chesney was going to be here.
Of course.
And
well, we do have Music Fest later this week.
On Saturday with Old Dominion, Michael Ray, and the Noms.
Yeah.
So that takes place on Saturday. Tickets available for that. That should be a great concert right here on the field as well. We can kind of see over the roof. I'm not sure our cameras can pick it up. The face of that seal.
Oh, there's
now.
the seal. Yeah.
So
you know, we haven't talked yet, but it looks like we've got almost a
sideways box.
A sideways box. I was trying to say what's the right word. Sideways works because normally the box is north to south, running the length of the field. And this morning, if you've been noticing, the balloons are able to fly. Originally, Dawn Patrol went out to the west as they launched, but that's changed because the balloons launching now are climbing up, going to the east, heading off toward the Sandia Mountains, which are, by the way, to the east of Albuquerque.
Yes.
And then as they climb up, they box and come back across the top of the field going to the west. And if they were to drop down low, they could, I would assume, be able to then come back to the east and cross back over the field again. So we have a box, but it's turned sideways from what it normally is.
It's 90 degrees off from what it normally is.
There on the screen, you
right.
can see a little bit of it because you can see those balloons that are down lower, the ones that are bigger and closer to you, they're going from left to right on the monitor, and then the balloons up above are going right to left. And in terms of geographic location, that's east to or west to east, and then east to west up top.
You'll also notice in looking at that picture, the lower balloons kind of a little not so
They're
bright,
darker,
but the ones up above are much brighter. The sun is starting to come over the mountains.
I was going to say there's a reason for that, and that's because the sun is still behind the Sandia Mountains to our east. And you'll see a dramatic difference, particularly that shot you see now, looking at a wide shot of the field. Once the sun is up and above the mountains, you'll see a dramatic difference in the brilliance of the color. It's almost like if you do any photo editing with Photoshop or Lightroom or any of those type programs, you always have like a saturation and a brilliance control.
Yes.
It's almost like you really wound up the brilliance control really high, because once the sun comes up, the color of these balloons really pops and becomes much more dramatic on the screen and in person.
So early on our Facebook feed here, someone said they were out in Rio Rancho, which is a suburb to the northwest of Albuquerque. They were out there waiting for the balloons to come. That was like during the Dawn Patrol show. And I was thinking, based on what I'm seeing in Dawn Patrol, we're not going to get to Rio Rancho today. But on the sideways box you just described,
Yep.
We're coming to the northwest. We're coming out there to Corrales and out to the Rio Rancho area, which is a perfect place. We've got lots of wide open spaces out there to land. It's a really great day when the pilots get to go that direction.
Well, and I was just looking at our Facebook feed. We can actually interact at times with some of the folks that are watching on the Facebook feed. Remember, we're also on YouTube and on balloonfiesta.com, but just have comments from Wisconsin, from Alpine, Texas, from San Diego, all across the U.S. I haven't seen a lot of international ones yet, but I really haven't been looking at it.
They were on early because it's the middle of the
Maryland,
afternoon over there. It's
from
almost siesta time.
Peoria, from Maryland. And you're right, the beauty of this event, if you're overseas, all of my friends over in the UK, it's about lunchtime over there. And so they can sit back and have a cup of tea and a nice cucumber sandwich or whatever it is they're having for lunch and enjoy watching Balloon Fiesta live while we're up here at dark 30 to do this. Now you could just see, if we get a shot of the back down on the field, a wide shot, you'll just see what we were talking about a moment ago, the effect of the sun. Now
it just hit the field.
It just hit the field. And see how different the colors look of all the balloons on the field? That's because the sun has just come up around the corner of the Sandias and is beginning to light the field. And now that color really begins to pop. He said.
Yes. There it is.
I'm sorry, as an old disc jockey, you never want to have dead air. So I thought you'd pick up and go with it there, but you didn't.
I was, because we were sending off the Shoney balloon here right in front of us. There it is, the yellow one with the nice Kachina on the side of it there. Malcolm White flying that one for us this year.
Another of our special shapes coming into our view, and that is the Humpty Dumpty balloon. Humpty Dumpty is sitting on his wall. Hopefully he will not have a great fall today. And that is the balloon flown by Rich Lawhorn.
I see another one up in the air. I'm thinking it's one of the green frogs.
I think it's one of the
is out
frogs,
there.
but again, we're looking like the seal. We're looking at the back of it. As I look through
Turn
the
it around.
crowd, I can see, we'll identify him in just a moment. As I look through the crowd just behind Humpty and the U.S. Bank balloon there, I can see Doug Gant's special shape, When Pigs Fly, otherwise known as Hamlet. And the great story behind that balloon, it's a pink pig balloon with white wings and big old white bulging eyeballs. And a great story behind that, when Doug was a kid, he, like every kid, you always say, well, why? Why this? Why that? Why this?
And when can I?
And and his dad's answer was, well, you could do that when pigs fly. So when Doug built that balloon, it was built in a bit as a tribute to his dad. And so it actually has that saying on the balloon, when pigs fly. The balloon is called Hamlet.
Hamlet ran for president a few years ago.
He did, yeah.
Didn't quite make it.
And
we're not going there with
politics.
That's enough of that story.
We ain't doing that.
So the frog we mentioned a moment ago that we saw out there is Hyla the frog, John Viner from the UK.
And talking about Per Lindstrand, and we did have him on air just a few moments ago with Ruth. He is the owner of Lindstrand Technologies and Lindstrand Balloons in the UK, and there is one of their demonstrator balloons right smack in the middle of the field, a yellow balloon with a vertical blue stripe. That might be Lee Hooper down there flying. I'm not sure. Lee is here and from the UK, and he was the one who introduced Per last night. Did a marvelous job talking about Per and his many accomplishments, even more so by the fact that he told me afterwards, he said, well, Troy Bradley, who was the MC, only gave me about 5 minutes warning that I was supposed to speak. He had no clue. So speaking off the cuff, Lee Hooper, you did a great job yesterday, my friend. Hey, off in the back end of the field to us, the far north end, there is a very popular balloon in this part of the world, and that is Smokey Bear. And Smokey Bear, of course, the famous story of the little bear cub that was injured in good morning, Sam, was injured in a wildfire here in the New Mexico desert and taken in by forest rangers, and of course went on to become the spokes bear, I guess you would say, for the U.S. Forest Service, reminding you that only you can prevent what used to be forest fires, and somewhere along the way we became politically correct, and now it's only you can prevent wildfires.
And I have it on good authority that Smokey is having a birthday this week.
Oh, is he?
So along about Thursday or Friday, we're going to have a little birthday party celebration
cool.
for Smokey out here.
Well, and a couple of years ago, there was a wonderful book written about the balloon and Smokey, and I am fortunate enough to have a signed copy of that at home. And my younger brother, was just out here in Albuquerque vacationing in Ruidoso, and one of the stops he made was down to Smokey Bear's grave, where the actual bear cub lived and is now buried. It wouldn't be a grave, I guess, if he were buried there. Now that I think about
Who's
it.
in Grant's tomb?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, an airplane crashes, and where did they bury the survivors?
That's it.
Oh, well.
That's it. Yep. Remember all those, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if kids still do those tests.
I don't know. You know, we did. We're showing our age.
Yes, we are.
Launching just in front, in our view, of Smokey Bear is the balloon with the great large bands of green, yellow, red, and blue. That is Bill Adler. Bill is in the balloon called Bill's Turn, and Bill is here from Longview, Texas, which is also home to the great Texas balloon race. Dan Droege, who is past chairman of the event, visited with us here on the rooftop studio a little earlier this morning, pre-flight. And I know Dr. Bill Bussey, the founder of the event, is also here in flying this year. So a great contingent from the great Texas balloon race held each July in Longview is here, and Bill is one of the pilots that flies and participates in that event. The U.S. Bank balloon going airborne, and is that Scott McClinton or Matt
It is
McClinton?
Scott. It
Scotty
is Scott.
that's flying it? Okay.
It's Scott going to fly that one. Had a nice conversation with Scott the other night. It's always great. It's kind of like old. I mean, really is a reunion every year.
I was going to say, it's like a family reunion here. We get to see so many people and Scotty and I, of course, work together on a number of other events. His company runs a few other balloon events around the country. Notably for me, the event up in Lisle, Illinois, Eyes to the Skies Balloon Fest. And so Scott and I work together there. His team runs that event, and I'm the announcer there. So always good to have he and his son Matt here. And I think it was his son Matt who's just been blessed with a brand new baby. So
congratulations,
there's a new member of the McClinton family. There goes Humpty Dumpty, as we said earlier. He's off now, hopefully not to have a great fall.
But a great flight.
A great flight, but sitting on
and
his
a great
brick
fall
wall.
season.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go there if you want.
I could go there. Okay. There he goes. One of our Cox Utilities sponsored balloons out there underneath Humpty Dumpty there. I think that one is the Cox 811 balloon, of course.
There's a great shot
Cameron
of Humpty
Jones
on the feed.
Oh, yes.
Right straight on to one of our cameras. We have how many cameras around the field this year? More than we've had ever before, I know.
We have more. We have 4 kind of fixed but all staffed cameras here. We have one on us. And we have some others that we're still working out some of the details to make happen here.
Well, then we could get rid of the one that's on us. We don't really need us on.
Well,
I mean, nobody wants to see.
They only
us.
kind of use it when we first start, when we end, and when the balloons go away. You know.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
we're the shot of last resort.
Yeah. Well, we both have a face for radio, so what can I tell you?
There you go.
Hey,
the Coronado Center balloon.
I was going to say the same thing that I was.
We've been doing. This is our 5th year together, by the way.
So we now finish each other's
sentences.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Coronado Center balloon is standing. Oh, go ahead, take it away, Art.
So Coronado Center, as the banner says, the birthplace of Balloon Fiesta. We talked earlier, April 1972. The whole idea here was radio station KOB was having its 50th anniversary. They talked to Sid Cutter, who had brought a balloon into town a few months earlier. Hey, Sid, could you get some balloons to come over? And Sid said, well, I guess I could. We could have a balloon race. They said, what's that? And he said, I don't know, but I've heard of them. And so they wanted to have the largest gathering of balloons. It was 19, I believe, over in England was the record at that point. Sid arranged for 21 balloons to come to Albuquerque. 13 actually made it, and that is now considered the very first Balloon Fiesta. So in 1972, 13 balloons here. Coronado Center was the launch site. After that, we moved to the New Mexico State Fair, and we've moved to multiple sites since then. This is our 6th launch site, and we've been here for more than 20 years.
Well, and one of those 13 balloons was my now dearly departed friend, Bill Murtorf, and Bill was a balloonist out of Houston.
I remember Bill.
I took my first balloon ride with Bill in a balloon called Bilbo's Bag. If you're a fan of The Hobbit, you know the name Bilbo. And for years and years, I told that story. I was a television reporter in my hometown of Beaumont, Texas at the time, And in 1976, cities all around the country had events to celebrate the U.S. bicentennial, and Houston had a balloon race. Then Bill organized it, and I went over and covered it for television, but it was too windy to fly the day I was there. But he said, if you come back sometime, I'll take you for a ride, and he did. And so my first flight was with a pilot of some renown, again, the late, great Bill Murtorf in his balloon, Bilbo's Bag, and that's another one of those moments in your flying career where you'll never forget it. And that's when the bug bit me, and I gave up a career in television to come out here and announce the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta.
Well, you know, they say that your first balloon ride is usually free.
And the next one cost you, back in those days, about $10,000.
Right.
Now it's more like 25
or
30.
35. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Some people pay for those first rides, but many people do get their first
them
ride
free.
because they know somebody.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah, I used my media, credentials and got a little pull there and got my first ride for free. And then my next one, actually my first 3 rides were for free because they were all rides that I got via my media credentials.
Uh-huh.
And but eventually I spent the money and bought that first balloon that Per Lindstrand and his company built over in England at Thunder and Colt. It was called Yellow Rose.
Now that some of the balloons are getting off those eastern launch sites, we're able to see the
wow.
size of the
Look at
crowd
that.
out there. So what a fabulous crowd we have out here this morning. What a great day. And like we've talked a little bit different direction. Off to the east, go high, go back off to the northwest. So it's not even a square box,
No.
much less being sideways, but a little bit of different directions for us than usual. But
And
what a great view in the sky.
I was going to say, and speaking of the size of the crowd we have, that means, and we saw reports on social media earlier, there was a huge traffic jam with people trying to get into the park this morning, and the folks that help manage all of that are the APD, the Albuquerque Police Department, and Ruth has an interview with a gentleman from APD. So Ruth, introduce us, and let's hear what the police are up to today.
Well, I have here with me this morning Jeremy Bassett of the Albuquerque Police Department. Every year at Fiesta, APD sends their officers out here to take care of us. Tell us what your normal morning is like at Balloon Fiesta.
Every morning we ensure that the public can get in with the traffic control points. We bring the horseman unit out here for people to interact with, and then we provide obviously public safety for everybody that's out here, ensuring that it's a safe event.
And what is your favorite thing to do for your assignments here?
The horse-mounted unit. I like riding the horses out here. It's one of I think, the best jobs out here for a law enforcement officer.
Do you get to have all the people come up interacting with the horses, and how do they deal with that?
Absolutely. We get to meet people from all over the world. They all want to take pictures with the horses and with the balloons, and it's just a really good time. And then they're also utilized to help find small children that are lost out here, so it's a win-win.
I guess you can really see the children from up high on the horse like that, can't you?
Absolutely, absolutely. We can see over the crowds, and it's a lot easier to get through a crowd on a big horse.
I bet it is. What time does your morning start?
About 3:30.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for your service to Balloon Fiesta. We really appreciate all that you do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Ruth. And yes, thank you, Officer Bassett, and all of the APD for the great work that they do with us every year, and for never having given me a speeding ticket, but we won't go there. When Pigs Fly is in the sky now, the balloon from Doug Gant we were talking about earlier, the pink balloon with the white wings and the big bulging eyes. Also see the Dos Equis balloon. There's When Pigs Fly on the video screen now. Again, When Pigs Fly, a tribute to Doug's father, and his typical answer when Doug always said, well, why or when? How come I can't do that now? Well, you can do it when pigs fly, son. Just beyond it is the Dos Equis balloon. I may not be the most interesting guy in ballooning, but I still drink Dos Equis. And that is Scotty Appleman, I believe, who's flying Dos Equis for us, even though it's his company, Rainbow Riders, that provide our ride concessionaires. But Scotty takes care of the Dos Equis balloon for us. And the Coronado Center still standing in the center of the field, appropriately enough, has not launched yet. The crowd size this morning, APD must have their hands very busy because it is a monstrous crowd out for this opening day of the 47th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. There is the Dos Equis balloon, gold, black with those two golden X's on the side, or Dos Equis, dos or two X's, of course. That's about as much Spanish as I can muster my way through. One of our special shapes in the air there is our owl balloon. And if I can figure out how to make this iPad spotting chart work, maybe I can tell you very quickly who's flying that. I just have to scan through. Even scanning through our special shapes section, there are about 100 shapes this year, so it's not the quickest thing. There it is. So our owl balloon that you're looking at on the sky, on the screen there, that is Jeff Lawton, and that is a 2016 Ultra Magic construction. They are here from, is that Godalming in Surrey, the United Kingdom?
That's what it says.
That's what it says. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I should get my Scottish accent on it. Maybe I could do it better. But at any rate, they are here from the UK, and this is Jeff's 4th year flying here at Fiesta, and that is simply called Owl Balloon. Coronado Center has gotten airborne now in the center of the field here back toward the south and corporate sponsor end of the balloon field. Blue band around the center, and as Art said so eloquently earlier, where all of this began. The Phillips 66 balloon is airborne. I believe Paul Petrin is the pilot who's taking care of the Phillips 66.
So what we're
team.
seeing on our feed here now is the Fiesta balloon, one of the first balloons off this morning, carrying our camera there this morning. So they've obviously landed somewhere there. They're walking the balloon. So now you see Judge Judy.
Yeah. And I noticed that I was about to say that's where Kim would be, who was in the balloon, but since Kim's taking pictures, I'm guessing she's outside the basket now.
That's what it looks like to me.
Sending us. That's why you've been hearing from Ruth Lind, our on-field reporter. Kim will be doing the same, but she was in the balloon of the day this morning, getting us some airborne pictures for the first balloons away today. A couple of the more balloons on the field here. There, of course, is our cow balloon.
Arabelle.
Sorry, I had a senior moment there. Arabelle, which when we used to have fan voting on special shapes, it was always one of the favorite special shapes. One of the first Wells Fargo balloons airborne now, one of their round balloons or standard shaped balloons with their Stagecoach logo. Wells Fargo, a longtime sponsor here at Balloon Fiesta.
While we have the cow there, right, kind of peeking through the side there, that's Bidou balloon.
Bidou?
A new one from Brazil.
Ah, okay. Another of our special shapes. My next door neighbor from Keithville, Louisiana now at Bluebird Hill Airport is in the air, and that is Pat Harwell in his balloon called Maverick. It's a royal blue balloon with a Mardi Gras spiral of green, purple, and gold. And Pat will be carrying our Balloon Fiesta Live camera live for us tomorrow morning. With Joey Scarpinato, one of my former crew members, now a new pilot in his own right, who will be our photographer, our camera operator in the morning.
So I just saw one of the what is the forerunner of the season special shapes. Purple there, we see the snowman from this side, purple, yellow pennants, snowman on this side, a pumpkin on another side here, kind of the first one. Then after that one, they started making the different special shapes. There it is.
And there's quite a batch of Texans who've come across cross country to be here this year, all standing side by side there. You see the yellow balloon with the curved racing stripe or checkered racing stripe up the side and the Texas star on it that we're seeing on the screen. That is Gary Haven in his balloon, and then just next to it are 3 identical balloons that are all, for lack of a better term, Texas racers. They are blue balloons with white stars and checkerboard stripes. That's the Hartzell family. And then there is also Steve Jones out there in his yellow balloon with the orange checks around the bottom. The balloon you see going airborne now on the feed, that piano keyboard with the musical staff that goes around it, that is a beautiful balloon. That too, brought to us by Mike Bowens and his lovely wife, whose name just went right out of my head. Maybe you can call it up on the spotter app and help me out there, but a gorgeous balloon. Being a musician myself, I love that balloon.
Have you figured out what tune the notes play on it?
I have not. You know, it's like a player piano. We should roll that thing around or something, and maybe when you pack it up and you're rolling it on the ground, it plays a tune. Who knows?
That would be great.
Cool.
There go all those Hartzell balloons.
There go the Hartzells.
Yep.
Joe, Rhett, and Oh gosh, I'm having another senior moment. His other son. Oh, that's terrible that I can't remember.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's embarrassing.
Lucas?
Lucas, yes,
Lucas.
thank you. I've only known the Hartzels for, gosh, as long as I've been in the sport of ballooning almost. And so, yeah.
There they go.
Terrible.
That's the tough part about competition, though. We can just say, well, there they all go together, but when they're coming in one by one.
Yeah. And trust me, I've had that discussion with Joe and Rhett. Rhett, of course, is, Joe too, are both national and I don't recall if Joe's won a world championship. I know Rhett has. I think Joe has too. But they're top competitors.
Exactly.
But they fly identical balloons, and it aggravates me, and I've had that discussion with them. Put a flag on it or do something to make them different, and they just won't do it.
Put the banners around all four sides so we can see the numbers or something.
Do something.
But, yeah.
Just next, following out the Hartzels in the yellow balloon with the red and blue diamonds in the center, that is my good friend Ken Drawn, who's here out of the great state of North Carolina. And for years, Ken used to say, just let me get close enough to a target so you could talk about me.
There you go.
And I always promised him if he ever got close to a target, I would mention his name. So
we just saw another one of our great special shapes and great sponsors for a few years, Bimbo, the Osito the Bear. Bill Baker flying the Bimbo Bear balloon for us. Bimbo, third or fourth year now for a sponsor out here at Balloon Fiesta.
Yeah, I think so.
Really a great addition here. They've got a great little booth just kind of on the south end of Main Street there. Lots of opportunities for product sampling and some fun giveaways and stuff like that.
They've always been kind enough to bring us a basket full of goodies, of their baked goodies. They are the largest bakery, I think, in the world, and they own a number of brands like Intamans and others that you would know. The name Bimbo might be a little bit unusual to you, but they're like the umbrella company that owns all these other brands, and they've now started, with the balloon and 2 or 3 years ago, to market that brand name and make it more of a brand conscious name, and so that's why they're here. And yeah, you should stop by their booth. They usually have some prizes, some giveaways for folks, as well as sampling some baked goods that are always good. I understand that Ruth is now with a member of one of my favorite balloons. I'm not going to get onto too much of a tangent about my love for Scotland and all things tartan, but we have a balloon here called the Slàinte balloon, which of course is, if you say cheers or prost or whatever when you're toasting, Slàinte is a Gaelic word for that we use when we're toasting. And she has a member of the only tartan balloon, the New Mexico tartan balloon, which is also named Slàinte, down on the field. Ruth?
Hey, Glenn, I have Jeffrey Ashworth and 3 of his crew people here. Now, I saw them walking by on the field, and oh my goodness, I don't think I've ever seen such fantastic crew uniforms. You guys turn around and let the camera see all of this.
Wow.
Is that wonderful or what? Jeffrey, tell us how you came up with all this.
Well, we actually have a Scottish registered New Mexico tartan, and our balloon is patterned after the Scottish registered New Mexico tartan. So we are the New Mexico tartan balloon team.
Well, how in the world do you come up with a New Mexico registered tartan?
Well, to be fair, I didn't come up with it. Somebody named Ralph did. But we talked to him about it, and we have a Scottish heritage, and we thought we would employ that in ballooning. So this is what we came up with.
Oh my goodness, these are the best jackets on the field.
Well, thank you so much.
So help me.
So much.
Goodness. Do you guys wear them in real life or only when you're flying?
Oh, in real life too. We like to represent wherever we go.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Hey, thank you.
Have a good flight.
And by the way, Ruth, if you don't know, almost every U.S. state has its own officially registered tartan. You might want to check and see if your state of Maine does. And I'm quite proudly wearing, I don't know if you want to come back up to the camera here, I this past year had my very own tartan designed by a wonderful company called Prickly Thistle over in Scotland, and wearing one of my brand new Glen Moyer tartan scarves. So the Slàinte balloon team, being the only tartan balloon that I've ever found out about, is one of my favorite balloons. And those jackets are really cool. And what's really neat, if you get a chance to go over and look in the basket, it may not be till after Fiesta, but if you're by the Lindstrand tent, they've just made some new tank jackets for the Slàinte balloon team, and the pockets on the tank jackets are the tartan, just like on
nice.
those beautiful jackets that they were all wearing that Ruth just showed us there. So those tank jackets, I think they're still on display over in the Lindstrand balloon tent, so go by and take a look at that.
A moment ago, nice shot of Mr. Fish from Brazil flying by, and now there's one of the tie-dyed balloons. Just kind of slipping behind the other big balloon there. There's the back shot of Mr. Fish there. And right above Mr. Fish, I was looking for that. That appears to be the brand new fractal balloon.
I was going to say, there is a new, when you mentioned the tie-dye balloon, there is a new fractal balloon, and yeah, I think that is it. It got away.
That's it. That is. We didn't see it take off. It's right there in the center of our screen there. And we've got there are 100 billion pixels in this.
Wow.
Fractals, of course, are those repeating patterns based on a mathematical formula here. And so Jonathan Wolf, who actually started the whole tie-dye thing,
right,
has been since 2000 trying to get a fractal balloon pattern together. And the technology to be able to print the fractals on fabric just wasn't there until about a year ago, and he's been working on this one for the last year or so. They finally got it. It is a Kubitschek balloon that is actually printed on the fabric. You see that same pattern from a mile away or within inches of the balloon because it repeats itself.
I've seen some close-up photographs of it, and it's an amazing balloon. And math was not my subject, so I don't understand fractals, but they are incredibly gorgeous. The Beambo balloon has since gotten airborne. Also in the group out there that's launching the IMTS balloon, white with the blue and green swishes around it, is my good friend Pat Fogue, who's flying that balloon, and the Admiral Nelson rum balloon, also airborne. It's a couple of rums we have out here this morning, and I'm still drinking plain old hot chocolate. Well, actually, I'm not, but...
The Ultra World balloon right there in the center of our shot. Just kind of going over it, another one of those Zia balloons we were talking about. There's the blue one with the yellow and red Z. It's just kind of, you see the bottom of it off the top of the picture.
Well, and you can see just at the left-hand top corner of the World balloon is the IMTS balloon I was just talking about.
And Admiral Nelson.
And Admiral Nelson just drifting in view, purple with the white logos on the side. And there goes, we should almost be playing Rule Britannia, because there goes the balloon from the UK with the Union Jack on the side, red, white, and blue. And that is one of our UK pilots.
Well, now there you go. There's the Zia balloon there, as well as the Arizona balloon on our picture here. So you see the New Mexico and the Arizona balloons in the same shot there.
And Ruth has another guest down on the field, so let's go back down.
I think I know who she has.
Oh, yeah? All right. Ruth, take it away.
Good morning, Glenn. We have Paul Smith with us today, and Paul, as you know, is the Executive Director of Balloon Fiesta. How's it going so far?
Well, so far the balloons are going great. We've had some issues with traffic like we do a lot of times on opening morning, but the balloons are wonderful.
Do you have any helpful hints for people who might be looking to come out onto the field?
Always come early. Early's the best thing we can do. In fact, this morning I remember I was doing my rounds at about 4 o'clock, and there were already lines of cars in the parking lots.
But we have all the roads specifically marked for directions and the routes all thoroughly established. Where can people go to find that information if they're thinking about coming out?
Balloonfiesta.com. That's really the best place to go. Look for maps and directions on balloonfiesta.com.
Maps and directions on balloonfiesta.com. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ruth. And Paul Smith, the Executive Director of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta.
Yeah, I noticed he said the balloons are doing wonderfully. He didn't say anything about Balloon Fiesta Live.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he probably hasn't had time to watch.
He hasn't had a chance to watch it.
Yet,
he's been dealing with other things.
Yeah, he's busy on the first day.
I'm sure I'll be hearing about it later on.
Well, you know we will.
So he's been very supportive of this whole effort to bring Balloon Fiesta live to the masses around the world, not just here at the Balloon Fiesta Park and have everybody come here, but to actually take Balloon Fiesta out to the rest of the world as well.
So are you watching the the Facebook feed? Because my phone locked up. I think I crashed my iPhone.
I keep checking it over here. We're getting people checking in from everywhere. And lots of people who miss being here and are coming later this week and checking in. Here's from Washington State. Here's somebody from Las Cruces down in the southern part. From Germantown, Wisconsin. Fargo, North Dakota. Someone's watching for their brother-in-law who's here on the field.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm sure we'll get a picture of them soon. Littleton, Colorado, talking about the fractal balloon there.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Okananawa, Wisconsin. Thanks. Yeah, we'll have to get a pronouncer for that one. Here's Denver, Arizona, Montana, Florida, Sioux City, Iowa, Plainfield, Indiana, College Station, Texas.
Aggies, gig 'em.
So, Salt Lake City, Nuevo something. It flips. Their comments are coming so fast. Panama was one there.
Yeah, I just my iPhone feed locked and it was just sitting. The little wheel was sitting there turning. I just rebooted the phone. We'll see if I can get it started up again. But
we have about 800 people online right now, but it's already been viewed by 5,000. And remember, if you're watching us online there on Facebook or YouTube, be sure and share those feeds out on your feeds. We had 384,000 people turn in to us last year, and we'd love to see the number go over 1 million this year. So you can help us with that across the 14 events by sharing your feed.
Our dress rehearsal yesterday, which was not really supposed to go out, somehow did, and we had over 20,000 people watching that.
The dress rehearsal.
I can't imagine why they would watch us just kind of goofing off on a dry run, but they did.
And they continue to tune it in. So
yeah, I don't know if I can get the feed reestablished on my phone or not, but we'll see. So one of our elephant balloons, we have 2 or 3 of those that's here, and there is the pink one. Now, is that elephant? Have I got
the pink one just starting to stand up here?
Yeah.
No, that's the Princess Nellie.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, Princess Nellie, who's here from Belgium. That's the new version. There's been a couple of Nellies through the years.
This is the third one.
I believe. Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, third generation Nellie. And off to the
there she is.
There's Nellie on the screen. And if we can swing around to the far west corner of the field, there is the Slanja balloon getting airborne. Again, patterned after the official state of New Mexico tartan. And that we just heard Jeff Ashworth and some of their crew talking about and showing us those beautiful jackets. So the tartan team is now in the sky. There it is on your monitor, far over to the left, the green and blue balloon with the red and yellow stripes. That's a representation of the official state of New Mexico tartan. As he said, they have Scottish heritage, as I do, and so the tartan balloon, one of my favorites, obviously.
A few moments ago on the screen there, we had Little Dog, also from Brazil. That one was, there's Mr. Fish out there on the other side, but there's a great shot of Slanja, and there's Little Dog right there. Another one of our special shapes. Again, we'll feature them on Thursday and Friday, although many of them will fly all 9 days. Glenn, I'm looking up and I'm noticing that the box is shifting.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's shifting. It was pretty straight east and west. Now it's kind of got a
looks like the upper wind
southeast to the northwest is still there.
It's more of a diagonal now.
Yep, shifting around more. Maybe it'll end up at our typical pattern by the time we get through the second wave. As we come through the mass ascension going on here, we have so many balloons in such a really limited space, even though it's a big space. 80 acres is the actual launch field here. Such a big space, but so many balloons in here, we have to kind of do it in waves to work through them. So we have 2 waves, and even each wave, we kind of start in the middle and at the south end of the field, although today it's been kind of the east side of the field. So the launch moving along maybe a little bit slower than it normally might. But still, what a great day, and the balloons have a perfect direction. With lots of great wide open spaces to land in out there.
As you said, Chamber of Commerce weather, there was the weather forecasters on TV last night were all about how it was going to be very iffy today and winds of 10 to 20 miles an hour. That may be coming later in the day, but the front certainly has not been an issue for us this morning, as we have just the type of morning you hope for at Balloon Fiesta. It's crisp, it's clear, it's cool, and we've got a great morning for flying balloons. A couple of the balloons that are in the middle of the field, just above the airfield here, is I can't quite make out the banner on it, but the blue and orange spiral balloon is called Twisted Gator. That's Bud Person, and that balloon holds the distinction of being the first spiral pattern balloon ever built by Aerostar Balloons. And
I met a member of Bud's crew the other day.
Did you? Yeah.
I was getting my hair cut at the place I always do, and the lady coming in behind me lives here, crews for Bud every year when he comes here.
Well, and just beside Bud in that pink camouflage balloon is Tammy Foley in her balloon, and she also has. And Tamo is the name of the balloon, yeah. And I follow them on Facebook, and it's always fun because anytime they found tennis shoes, they found a car one time done in that pink camouflage pattern. Yeah,
there it is on the street.
Just, they're going to be like the Slanja team. They're going to have some pretty wild outfits if they keep finding all this great pink camo stuff out there at some point in time.
Hey, hi, Chris Schuler. Thanks for joining us on Facebook. Good friend of mine, Chris Schuler. Here's Kansas City checking in, Kansas City, Missouri.
I can't get I'm going to go to my iPad to Facebook and see what I can't get the feed.
And Lakewood, Washington is checked in. Saskatchewan, Canada is there. Parker, Colorado, a few more places checking in. We're trying to keep up with that and what's going on the screens and in front of us and up above us and all around us to try and bring all those great pictures and hopefully add some value commentary to it as well.
Oh, I think I know why now, because my internet hotspot has died.
Well, that's not good.
So I'm going to have to get on to one of the other internet connections that we have here. That's probably why.
That would be. There was one of the Wells Fargo regular shape balloons. Got a couple of those. And actually, speaking of Wells Fargo, I actually see center stage starting to cold inflate. Cold inflate is the part of the balloon process where we put cold air inside the envelopes, fill them up with cold air, and then turn on the burners, heat the air, the hot air rises, thus lifting the balloon upright and eventually into the air. Coca-Cola, the official soft drink sponsor of the Balloon Fiesta, taking off from the south end of the field now. Good shot of Coca-Cola. We are glad to have them back as a sponsor for the second year in a row here. They were a sponsor early on, then it kind of switched to that other soft drink, and it's back to the Coca-Cola company now. And I mentioned center stage. There's a view of the top of, is that the top there, or is that one of the wheels? Actually, it looks like one of the wheels of center stage.
Yeah, the stagecoach
We're looking, from our view, we see the top, but the camera is seeing the wheel. So once that stands up, that'll be Beth Wright-Smith standing that one up. She flies that balloon all around the country for Wells Fargo. Actually operates her own flight school here in Albuquerque. So if you wanted to learn how to fly balloons, you could get in contact with Beth. Come out here and spend a little time flying your balloon, learning to fly your balloon. She's also a designated flight examiner. So we talked about those check rides earlier. After you have reached that proficiency level where you think you are able to fly the balloons, you could sign up with her or other flight examiners to take those check rides.
And Ruth has another, Ruth has another guest. Ruth has another guest down on the field.
Ruth does have another guest on the field. I have Chris Duncanson, who's crewing for Jim Ahern this morning. How long have you been a crew person, Chris?
This is actually my first year with Jim. I'm going to get to fly today. I'm really excited, actually.
Oh my gosh, how many times have you flown?
I've flown a couple times in the past, but never with Jim and the missing link. So this is a new experience for me. We got a great day here to do it. So.
Have you ever flown during Balloon Fiesta?
Once, several years ago with Rainbow Riders. Had a great time.
Oh, that's wonderful. So this is obviously a much smaller balloon. What do you think is going to be different this year about what you've done in the past?
I don't know. I think it's different. The winds are moving a different direction, so I think we'll see a little bit different experience. And I'm just excited to see the other balloons up in the air, and it's cool to be able to even talk to other pilots in the air. So I'm just excited about it.
And what brought you into crewing for balloons for the first time?
You know what? I've lived here my whole life, and I just wanted to be part of Fiesta and kind of get to know the inner workings a little more. And the team here is just fun to be with.
Oh, that's terrific. Well, thank you so much for all your help and all your crewing, and we'll look forward to seeing you all week.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye, Chris.
Thanks, Ruth. And Jim Ahern, beyond being a balloon pilot and a long-time participant here, has another bit of trivia associated with him. Like myself, Jim plays guitar, I think, if I remember right. I play bass guitar, and Jim was way back in the day, before they became a rock and roll sensation. Jim was a member of a little band called the Jefferson Airplane, and back in his San Francisco days. So a little bit of trivia about balloon pilot Jim Ahern there. And we continue with our launch this morning. It's just finally, I think I got my the feed back up on my Facebook. Switched over to my iPad here and got things reconnected. And just taking a look at where some of the folks are checking in from and some of the chat that's going on there. People, of course, are able to comment, and we can read those. So be nice if you're commenting on our Facebook feed. And again, Balloon Fiesta Live is available on the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta website, balloonfiesta.com. It's available on their Facebook page and also on their YouTube channel. And we have viewers we know from all around the world. We're getting toward, I don't want to say the end, but we're certainly getting deeply into this morning's mass ascension. We still have some balloons inflating for the first time as we continue off to get all of the balloons into the sky this morning, the 550 odd that we have. There goes the second of the Wells Fargo round balloons, and we call them round balloons. They're teardrop shaped, the standard traditional shape hot air balloon. Wells Fargo operates a fleet of balloons. They have 2, maybe 3, I think, of the round balloons, and then they have, of course, Center Stage, which we were talking about, Art was talking about just a little earlier, the iconic Stagecoach balloon from Wells Fargo. Our special shapes, a few of them continue to pop up. The little blue dog that we talked about earlier is come back around the field and is there in the northeast corner of the field where many of the shapes are, along with Nellie, Princess Nellie, our pink elephant balloon that is one of the special shapes. They are here from Belgium. And so we continue to get balloons in the air and on the air, as it were, as balloons are flying all overhead, just trying to take a peek up into the sky. And what a beautiful rainbow we've created right over Albuquerque, New Mexico this morning with this incredible show. The ballooning for an opening day just couldn't be better than what we have here. We mentioned Arabelle, the cow balloon, a little earlier. Well, the Creamland Dairy balloon is also at the far end of the balloon. Their crew, of course, Art called the Moo Crew, which I've always kind of liked. And their little round balloon, which has the dairy cow black and white pattern on it, is standing at the, that would be the northeast end of the field. And the city of Plano, Texas has their balloon here. Plano also is host to one of the major ballooning events in the country, the Plano Balloon Festival, the In Touch Credit Union Plano Balloon Festival, which sadly, just a week or so ago, Dallas was hit with some serious rain, and the event was literally rained out. The balloon launch field was turned into a lake. They got like 12, 14 inches of rain overnight there. So a very tough year for that event, but it's a great event. One of the biggest and better balloon events in the state of Texas.
Pretty crazy pictures from the rain and the flooding at that event.
Yeah, it was. They actually had, we were all at the hotel being told how bad the field was. They actually had, there was a group like the SPCA that had a booth there with animals up for adoption, pets that you could adopt. And they actually had to get fire rescue out to get those animals out of the launch field.
Wow.
Because the water was so deep. The vendors had to just basically evacuate. And it was a tough week for that event, tough year. But they'll be back next year. Next year will be the 40th year for the In Touch Credit Union Plano Balloon Festival. And so we look forward to being back with them again next year. And I know they'll bounce back well.
There's a shot of the Saxon balloon, one of our new special shapes there. It is not quite all the way standing up yet, which is why it looks kind of weird, though. That's kind of the very top of his head, the red there, and then you have the eyes that are a little higher than that. They get a little more cold air into that will stand up. You know, these special shapes really kind of have a regular shape inside most of them.
Yeah.
And all the rest of the pieces are kind of little appendages here. So it'll take, there's probably a little opening there that some of the heat will go in there. It'll take a little bit longer for that to stand up, but that's one of the new balloons. Brazil bringing that to us. Luis Assis bringing that balloon here. The Brazilian folks like to bring a group of special shapes every year, make them up through the year, bring them out here to Balloon Fiesta, and many of them end up being for sale when they come to Balloon Fiesta here. Sometimes they hit. Oh, and there's one of our other new special shapes, the Van Gogh balloon.
Yes.
That one generating a lot of excitement that when we found out that one was coming here.
Just looking at some of the comments on our Facebook feed, and Nan Benner there, or no, I'm sorry. Where did it go? Oh,
The comments
yeah.
go so fast.
Yeah,
They
I
keep
know.
scrolling off the screen. It's hard to read them all.
John Como made the comment, that one looks like my ex, and I don't know if he means his ex-balloon or his ex-partner. John, you need to be a little more specific there, buddy. A funny comment.
Marion was just asking about, she said she was waiting for the Van Gogh balloon. Of course, it is from the Netherlands, and happy to oblige and bring that to you.
There's a quick hello from Australia. First comment I've seen come in from Australia this morning, but I haven't really been looking at the feed. There's a comment that says, love the Van Gogh. Colby Jones, Van Gogh, that's cool. And I've always wondered, is it Van Gogh or is it actually Van Gogh? Not sure about that.
I've always heard Go.
I've heard Van Gogh.
But then we're over here and not over there.
Yeah, well, we'll go with
yeah.
that. We're just simple country folk here, so. I'm not good at accents.
So we just saw Koshari, the black and white Indian face there, and now we're off onto Little Willie there. There's Koshari again, Peter Procopio from Gallup, New Mexico. They saw the KOB balloon go by in the middle of our shots earlier as well.
They were at the Koshari balloon was at Walgreens last night when I was shopping there. I didn't see them in the store, but I saw the vehicle parked out in the parking lot.
Peter, what a great guy! One of the, I think he was one of the founders of the Red Rock Balloon Rally out in Gallup, which takes place the first weekend in December. He's kind of turned it over to some other folks. That's always a great place to fly, and he's been flying as long as I have. I met him way back in the late '80s when we were both getting started in our flight career here.
Ruth has been hustling a lot of guests down on the field.
She's been doing a great job.
She now has a long-time veteran balloonist, long-time friend of mine, Sean Askren. Good morning, Sean, and good morning again, Ruth.
Good morning, Glenn. I have Sean Askren here with me this morning. Sean is the pilot of the Intel balloon, and they've just gotten back. They're getting ready to do their champagne celebration. Tell me what it was like in the air this morning, Sean.
It was a beautiful morning, nice clear morning. We went a great direction. We headed over to the west-east side of 25 and found a real nice parking lot. You couldn't ask for a better morning in all my years of being here.
That's about as good as it gets. Did you find a nice box this morning?
There was a little bit of a box. It started developing later as I had gotten through the air, but there is a nice box, and there's a really nice box now. But the first balloons off didn't really have much of one, but it's turned out to be a really nice morning for a box.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, Sean, when you're not at Balloon Fiesta, where are you living these days?
I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, and just travel all over.
And how many years at Balloon Fiesta for you?
This is my 30th year.
Oh, my goodness, I only have you beat by one. That's terrific. Have you flown as a pilot every one of those years?
No, the first year in 1984, I came out with my dad, and we came out and I just crewed for him.
And is your father still flying?
No, my dad passed away, and he doesn't fly, but I take a picture of him with me in the balloon every day, and he flies with me every day.
That's a wonderful story. Thank you so much for being here with us this year.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye, Sean.
Thanks, Ruth, and congratulations, Sean, on 30 years.
I think that gets him a 30-year patch from Balloon Fiesta.
Diane Carlson also got one of those. She posted it up on Facebook a day or two ago, and I made the comment, and I'll make it here again just so I can lobby a little bit. You know, next year will be my 30th year here as one of the announced team, so I'm thinking maybe I should get a 30-year announcer patch next year. We've never done one of those, but, you know, there's always a first time.
No one's lasted that long.
I don't know. You know, your predecessor, my longtime colleague here, Tom Rutherford. Tom he didn't make 30, but, well, he may have because he and I worked together 25 years.
He did a few before that, so yes,
he might have hit the 30 mark, but, yeah, so maybe retroactively they need to give Tommy one, and then I can get one next year. Yeah, and this, of course, is our 5th year together.
Fifth year together. Yeah. My 37th year with Balloon Fiesta.
Wow.
So I did get a 35-year volunteer pin a couple of years ago.
Well, see, I think we need a 30-year announcer patch.
We'll have to work on that.
Just saying.
Okay.
There is the 770 KKOB balloon airborne now. We've talked a lot about how this event began back with as the birthday celebration for then KOB radio. And so that is the KKOB, 770 KKOB radio. Their balloon in the air now, red, white, and black.
Ron Curry, the pilot of KOB balloon, and he has been flying that since the early days, the very beginning of KOB bringing its balloon and having its own balloon.
Not that balloon. That's
this is the second or
one?
Third one. I can't remember which.
It's the second one I can recall.
But he flew the first one as well.
Okay.
So, yeah. So former cabinet secretary here in the state of New Mexico.
So
moved on now.
And our camera crew is still focusing there on the center stage, which is still getting cold inflated.
Oh, now look at this balloon here.
The mustache balloon.
This is gilt. This is a brand new balloon. It actually had its first inflation on Thursday. It arrived in town on Wednesday. They inflated it on Thursday. That's Zarek Wells flying that. Zarek is a well, his wife is the president of Quad A, which is the local balloon club here, the Albuquerque Aerostat Ascension Association. And their other balloon did not pass its annual inspection. We can talk about those in a bit. But they've decided to do something new, and so they've built the gilt balloon. And so the mustache here, and the story is that there will be an innocent balloon coming, probably not this year, but down the line. And then husband and wife Karen and Zarek will fly those balloons side by side, and you'll be able to choose, are you innocent or guilty?
Well, I saw Karen and Zarek Thursday evening at the BFA President's Reception.
Yes, they were there.
Hello to them. Another new special shape that I'm got a bit of an association with is in the air. This is, and again, I'm hoping the pilot will use that turning bit and spin him just a little bit. If you can see, there is a koala bear in the sky now, and it is from Longleat. And the story behind that is Longleat hosts Sky Safari, which is now the second largest ballooning event in the world, the largest balloon event in the UK. I have the distinct honor of having been the commentator for all 3 years of Sky Safari. It started 3 years ago. There's the koala bear. The significance of this is that Longleat is the first wildlife safari park established outside of the continent of Africa 53 years ago. Right. They first brought lions to Longleat, and later this year, they will be adding koala bears through an association with a game safari park in southwest Australia. And so the new koala bear balloon is representative of the fact that koalas are now coming to Longleat. And great to see it in the sky. And just down below it is Tall Steve, which is a tall penguin chick. I think we have the whole family of penguins here brought to us.
Tall Steve's turning around and looking over the top. Oh, there
he goes.
That's the turning vent that we keep asking folks to use.
Yeah, we keep asking the koala bear to use. There's Tall Steve spinning around, and one of his parents, that's either Puddles or Splash. I can't see. Well, actually, they're both in the air right there side by side. These three penguins are all brought to us, as is the koala bear, by Andrew Holly from Exclusive Ballooning in the UK.
Remind me, which one is which, the red skirt or the blue skirt?
The blue is the boy, and that is Puddles, and then the red is the girl, and that is Splash.
So Splash is higher in the air, and although
Puddles and Splash got together and had a baby, and that baby is Tall Steve. And I think Andrew is probably flying Tall Steve. I'm not sure on who's piloting which one.
He usually does.
Chris Libacek from Albuquerque is here flying one of the penguins. I think either Puddles or Splash. But the whole family, the parents and the baby, are in the air. And there's that, what was that thing you were talking about earlier, that weird looking, is that a
Saxon balloon
bird or a?
I'm not real sure what it is.
I don't know what it is.
We're looking at we see the backside. We don't have it on the camera here.
That's the backside?
This is the back. That's the backside.
Oh my God.
You can kind of see the arm in the center there. It also has music notes along the bottom. The little white and black at the top is one of the eyes, and that orange thing at the top is a little hat. And when it turns around, it's got something, I'm not sure what, kind of hanging out in front of it here.
Okay.
So, that's another one. Use the turning bed, show us the other side.
Do something, because I'm not impressed with the backside of that.
It is a weird-looking balloon, but,
must be.
Yeah.
There is the balloon I refer to as the Tatanka balloon, if you remember the movie Dances with Wolves, or the bison or the buffalo balloon. That's the Plains National Bank balloon with the two buffalo head on the side. Barry Ballinger flies that balloon. And the crew likes to wear T-shirts that says, "We fly in the buff." I don't know if that's true or not. I've never been down around the crew. I'm a little afraid to get too close.
Yeah, well, if you can read the T-shirt.
Then you're probably too close. And I guess if they're wearing T-shirts, they're actually not in the buff, are they? So.
Yeah, or maybe they're not crewing.
Well, maybe not. I don't want too much information. La la
There's
la
a great
la
shot.
la la.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are working our way through the second wave of our mass ascension here this morning. And balloons all over the sky, as Sean was telling us. Again, one of the first balloons off. Sometimes it's great to be the first off, and sometimes it's not so great.
Yeah, I always kind of like to be in the middle, just a personal sort of thing. There is Dr. Bill Bussey out of Longview, Texas, flying in his balloon now, the racing balloon that is black with the forest green and the blue diamond shapes in the center. He's using his turning vents. He was spinning the balloon quite nicely.
Kind of went through the middle of the picture here as you talked about it.
As he climbed out. Dr. Bussey is the founder of the Great Texas Balloon Race and is a tremendous supporter of the sport of ballooning. Does a great number of things for the sport.
There's the Van Gogh balloon in the air.
Yep, there it is.
And right to the upper left of that is the Off Your Rocker balloon.
Is that the first time here for Van Gogh? I believe it is.
I think it is. I think
it's a balloon from Europe, and I've seen it over there many times.
Yes.
But because it's been around for a while.
We listed as being new here this year. But I don't remember it ever being here.
I think it's the first year here.
Yeah.
And there goes Chris and Amanda Savia in the Spot the Wonder balloon from Wonder Bread, of course. Red, yellow, and blue with the white equator.
There we've got all of those in there, Off Your Rocker and Van Gogh and the Wonder Balloon all together there.
Well, and Will LaPointe is down there with one of his he has a new cop balloon, police officer balloon, law enforcement official or whatever. But all we're seeing again is, I think, the backside of that, but hopefully we'll see it in a moment. But Ruth Lind, I'm sorry, Ruth. It's actually Ruth Ludwig Lind. I knew her for years as Ruth Ludwig, but we call her Ruth Lind now. Anyway, she has another guest, so Ruth, we'll go back down to you.
I understand the name change, Glenn. I've only been married for 21 years now, but these things
I'll
take
catch
time.
on.
I have Matt Coulomb with me today and his friends, and this is the Mounted Patrol. Matt, tell me about what you're doing here, aside from just looking absolutely awesome.
Okay, well, mostly what we do here at Balloon Fiesta is we look for lost children. So we help reunite people that have been separated. We've been doing this for over 30 years. We're an all-volunteer unit, and we normally do search and rescue out in the woods. So this is a nice confined area for us compared to what we normally do.
That's wonderful. Do the horses stay on the field here during the whole fiesta, or do they go somewhere else at night?
We actually have a little campground that we make over here in the corner of the field out in the parking lot, and we do stay here. We set up portable corrals, and the horses stay here, helps them acclimate to the environment, and it saves us some trouble of running them back and forth from our house to the Balloon Fiesta.
What kind of training are you looking at, both for you and for the horses, to do this work with all these crowds?
Well, it can be a stressful environment for animals. I mean, it can be a stressful environment for people with all the crowds and stuff. So we do practice regularly. We have some balloonists that help us bring their balloons to our arena. The thing we can't really simulate is people. I mean, you never know what people are going to do. So it's mostly repetition and exposing them to the different sights and sounds that we think they'll encounter when they're out here.
Well, I remember in all the years when I was flying balloons, we were so careful to stay very, very high and away from the horses because they would be scared by the burners. How do you get these guys to be so relaxed?
Repetition, and it is, some horses are cut out for it and some aren't. But we are able to get these horses right up next to a balloon. Balloonists can be operating the burner with one hand and petting the horse with the other.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, all of you, for the work you're doing for us here at Fiesta.
I also, one thing we do out here is we do sell balloon pins as a fundraiser because we are a volunteer unit. So I'd like to give you one of ours. We make a different one every year. And if you guys see us out here on the field, come get us. And if you support us, you're helping support search and rescue.
Thank you so much. Everyone, come by their pins. They're beautiful, beautiful pins. And the work they do is phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Ruth, can we see a picture of that pin? Can you hold that up?
Let's see if we can get the pin on the camera. There she comes. And
oh, yeah.
Oh, wow, look at that. Okay. We'll have to go down and get one of those.
Have to do that, yep. I have them from a number of years, so my wife always likes to get those. So.
And by the way, just so you could pass along to the mounted officers that a number of comments coming on our Facebook feed saying thank you, what a great job they do doing search and rescue and finding children here on the Balloon Fiesta site. So they have a lot of fans out there, and good for them to know that.
So another one of our Facebook fans here, Matt Davidson, is telling us that Saxon balloon is really a saxophone.
Oh, well then, okay, that might make sense if I can see it full on at some point. And also someone else gave us, I didn't catch the name as it scrolled by, there's so many people commenting on Facebook, but someone did say that yes, this is the first year for the Van Gogh balloon to be here, but it's the second year for the pilot. He was here once before flying a different balloon. So thank you. It's amazing the knowledge we can get from,
I guess,
because there are balloonists all around the world who can't be here.
Exactly.
And they're watching because they miss being here. And so they have a vast knowledge field as well. And so it's great to read the comments as we can. We can't see them all, but we try to check in. And so it's fun to see and get updated with some knowledge from those folks. So thank you for those of you online that are pitching in and helping us to keeping us informed here.
Nothing like having a great built-in resource out there for you.
Yeah,
hey,
we've got our own FAQs, and they're all online.
And they're all online. We've got a very special guest here joining us here on the rooftop studio. Mayor Tim Keller, thanks for coming out and joining us.
Oh, it's great to be out here, and what a special day for our city. We got the box working, the field is packed, and there isn't a cloud in the sky, and wind is good. This is really a great fiesta kick off.
So it is a fabulous day for this, and of course it's a great time for Albuquerque, New Mexico, for folks to be here.
It is. You know, this is literally the biggest event in the state, and we get on average almost 1 million visitors related to the Balloon Fiesta. It's about $200 million in economic impact.
Wow.
And it's also a great way to showcase everything else in our city, whether it's Old Town or it's Greek Festival or the Bosque. It's just a special time in Albuquerque, and we're happy to share it with the rest of the world.
And what a fabulous day.
This is such a great time of year, too, to come and visit Albuquerque. This is my 29th year. I live here for 2 weeks a year for the 29th year. I feel like I'm an Albuquerque resident in some ways.
We'll give you the honorary,
thank you. I've asked all of your predecessors for that, and I've never gotten it. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. But it is. I mean, you can't. I don't know what the rest of the year is like out here, but what perfect weather you have during Balloon Fiesta. There's no better time to come and visit the city and the state of New Mexico. There's a reason they call it the land of enchantment.
You got it. And I tell you, we always have a little spin on that. Sometimes we call it the land of entrapment because you can't leave. You keep coming back.
Well, it's a bit like ballooning.
It
then
just grabs into
the
you.
bug bites you, and you're hung on it.
Yeah.
Then.
But it is, and it's amazing too how, Mother Nature just usually helps us out. Sometimes we get obviously rain, and there's not always every day where we can go up. But today, I mean, what an amazing thing. We're expecting a cold front to come in, but it's not here yet. It is a perfect balloon day, and that's a great thing. And so we just appreciate everything lining up for our city today.
Great. Mayor Tim Keller, thanks for coming by and seeing us.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
Good to see you.
Always good to have the mayor come by and say hi.
It's good to finally be an honorary resident of New Mexico.
30 years and you're finally there.
Is there a proclamation or anything?
Well, we'll have to see about getting that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's fun. We've had previous mayors here, and we've had governors who've come up and joined us, and I've always had a lot of fun trying to get. I think one did give me a pass on a speeding ticket once, but that's about the only thing I've gotten out
that's
of. That's
only because you were coming to Balloon Fiesta and you needed to be on the
That was
on
it.
the mic.
Yeah, I had to be here, so they gave me a break, I think.
Center stage, standing up down there, Beth Wright Smith, the pilot of that for Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, of course, the sponsor of our Special Shapes Rodeo and Glowdeo on the Thursday and Friday coming up later this week.
And all the way from Belgium, Luke, I am your father. There is Darth Vader, and I suspect that Master Yoda is probably right beside him. I can't see him at the moment, but I would bet that Yoda is right. There you go. Yep, there's Darth, the Dark Lord, and there is Yoda, the Jedi Master from Star Wars.
Well, I was going to say, we were talking a moment ago before we talked to the mayor about all the extra expertise we're getting from our Facebook page. We obviously must have had a shot of the Darth Vader and Yoda balloon before because someone mentioned it on the Facebook feed, but we couldn't see it for the balloons between us and them.
Yeah.
But, yes.
Well, and one of my great collectibles that I'm quite proud of is years ago when Darth Vader was first debuted, it came out, we had it on the cover of Ballooning magazine, and I was able to get the pilot, the father and son that owned the balloon, get them to sign the magazine for me. And then, I won't go through the whole long story, but I was able to send the magazine out and got Mr. Star Wars himself, George Lucas, to sign the
Oh,
magazine.
right.
For
Yes,
me.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's in my private collection is a copy of Ballooning Magazine with Darth Vader on the cover, signed by no less than George Lucas himself.
Excellent here. So it seems like the most popular color patterns that are coming around in balloons these days tend to be a red, white, and blue one. We have another one right here in front of us flying the Floor Decor banner for us. See Randy Oates flying that from Louisville, Kentucky. Saw a number of them. Of course, we saw Tim Taylor had a new flag balloon in Dawn Patrol this morning.
Team, yep.
One that I saw it go by, I don't think we got it on our feed earlier, Stars and Stripes, Blair Kaufman, formerly from Albuquerque, now in Oklahoma. He flew that out of here, flying the banner for CNM, Central New Mexico Community College. So a number of those patterns seem to be showing up, although the most popular or color combination seems to be yellow, red, and blue.
I was going to say probably the most prevalent color in ballooning is yellow.
Yellow, with the blue and red combination of the yellow right in there as well.
3 of my balloons, 2 in particular, Yellow Rose, and then later on a balloon I had called Coyote Moon, were primarily yellow balloons. And part of that is because yellow is very vibrant in the sky up against the blue sky, and they also glow quite nicely. Down at the south end of the field, you may notice and there's a yellow and blue balloon on our screen that's directly overhead.
Speaking
almost
of yellow and
Speaking
blue,
of
right?
Yellow,
that is Check Ride, Dave Sullivan from
okay.
Fayetteville, Georgia.
And I was going to say down at the south end of the north end of the field, the pink balloon, you can just see the zebra-striped tail. There he is on our feed. That is a balloon called Kazoo. And if it were to spin around, you would see there is a zebra or zebra, depending on where you are in the world, face on the other side. And that is the balloon flown by Dean Carlton. Dean is here from Danville, Illinois, and is a former president of the Balloon Federation of America, still a member of the board of directors of the BFA. And his pink zebra balloon called Kazoo. Now we have another special shape zebra or zebra.
Mr. Z.
Mr. Z, that is the head. It's a zebra or zebra head. And I haven't seen it yet this morning, but I'm sure it'll be with us at some point during the week. So we have a couple of zebra balloons here.
And we're kind of getting to the end of our Mass Ascension launch here. Things are slowing down. Some of these balloons that are now inflating and standing up may not actually take off. It's always pilot's discretion here at Balloon Fiesta. The pilot of any aircraft is known as the PIC, or pilot in command. It is always their decision whether to fly. They are in command, in control of what is taking place with their aircraft. And so they make the final decision whether to go or not. Balloon Fiesta can close the field if necessary, if winds and conditions are not safe. But no matter what if the conditions are good and the field is open, it still comes down to each individual pilot to make that go, no-go decision as to whether to fly or not. And there's all kinds of reasons for making those decisions. Sometimes you just want to stand your balloon up and let everybody see it right here on the field. Maybe you're not comfortable flying that particular direction. Could be all kinds of different reasons why. And I know a lot of folks just like to kind of stand their balloon up and let it get seen by everyone, and the pictures and the cameras and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, and sometimes maybe sometimes you've been in another balloon event and maybe had to pack the balloon up in a hurry, or to avoid maybe some rain or something like that, and so you're not just quite sure that everything is where it should be, and you want to just take it out and inflate it and stand it up and make sure that all is well before you get it up into the sky.
Exactly.
And just give it a once over. And sometimes the crew sleeps in a bit, and you get maybe a late start or whatever. There's lots of reasons why. Sometimes people will just stand the balloon up and not fly, and that's always okay too.
Exactly, and we never know up here because we're not in the pilot's.
Right. Yeah, we don't have communication with the individual.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Are we keeping you up?
You are. You've kept me up since 3 o'clock this morning. Dark 30.
It was an early call this morning, but
sleep deprivation
I think it worked.
Is coming into play, I think.
I think it worked out though with some of the traffic deals there. I saw a minute ago Bill the Vampire on our screen there. Now we're seeing another. He was out up there. And another yellow one standing up.
Sorry, I was yawning again. I'm
yellow
trying not to do that.
Yeah, another yellow and, of course, red one. There's Bill the Vampire up there on our screen.
Where is? Oh, there he is. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. I see. I thought that was just. I looked at it earlier. I thought that was just one of the many cat balloons that are here, but no.
That's Bill the Vampire. You're right. We have a number of cat balloons as well, but I don't think we have as many as we've had in the past.
Well, I think some
Hey,
of
there's
them are
Walking
getting
on Air.
a bit aged, aren't they?
Some of them are. Some of them are. You were talking about Diane Carlson from Plano earlier. There's a nice
Yep.
shot of her special shape walking on air. Checkerboards
Otherwise
and solids
known
and
as the flip-flop balloon.
there you go. I was just going to say you can identify it by the flip-flops, the neon color flip-flops. We can see the green side. There's other colors of flip-flops going around. Diane Carlson, the Plano Pins, the official pin manufacturer for all of the pins.
Yep, they make
here
the
at Balloon
official
Fiesta.
announcer pins and our Balloon Fiesta Live pins.
Which we
by the
haven't
way,
talked about this
We
year.
have not mentioned, but this is the first year ever for a Balloon Fiesta Live pin. And so if you track down myself or Art or Ruth or Kim or any of the members of the team, and if you ask really nicely.
And we were going to put some for sale in the merchandise tents.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah. And of course, that's the Balloon Fiesta Live pin. You're going to want to make sure you get that. It's because it is the first.
It's the first. Never, ever been one before.
No, and it is basically our Balloon Fiesta logo.
Right.
The pin has the year 2018 in it, where our logo does not put the year in, so we can use it over and over again. And then there's the announcer pins.
Well, that's true. We've been doing, Tommy and I did unofficial announcer pins dating way back to my first year here in 1990. But a few years ago, Fiesta finally brought us into the fold, and so now there are official balloon announcer pins, and you and I have those, different colors, so that people can tell who they collect them
Mine
from.
is red.
Mine's blue.
It commemorates our 5th year together.
Yep.
And there was a little mistake this year.
Oh.
And they made some purple ones too.
Uh-oh.
So somewhere on the field, I haven't checked with Lisa, our merchandise manager, yet to see where they put them, but there are some purple ones as well, which of course is the nice combination of the red and the blue.
And the blue, right.
So there are 3 colors of announcer pins with our names on them as well that you're going to want to add to your collection. You can see these pins, by the way, on balloonfiesta.com. If you click on the merchandise tab in Collector's Corner, you can see the programs, the pins, and the bumper stickers, all those things. We've started putting a collection of those up there so that you can, 1, see what's out there, and 2, verify those against your collection, see what you're missing. Of course, if you have something we don't, we'd love to hear that as well. BalloonFiesta.com, merchandise, collector's corners, check out the pins there. And of course, the merchandise tents, if you're here on the field, they are at the north and south ends, all for sale. Not only the purple announcer pins and the Balloon Fiesta Live pins, but a whole collection of other pins, the Mass Ascension, the special shapes, the glows, the Night Magic, boy, all kinds of them. I think there's more than 80 different pins that Fiesta makes every single year that are available. Of course, the 47th pin, we put the numbers out. They come in multiple colors. And some of those are extremely limited in the number that were produced to keep their value up. And as we approach the 50th International Balloon Fiesta, the numbers are obviously going up, and those pins are becoming more valuable.
They are indeed. And of course, the easiest way to see all of this merchandise is simply to shop along Main Street, where not only do we have the official merchandise tents, but we have a great many number of other vendors, as well as food concessions. And I'm always struck by the amazing things you can find on Main Street from our various vendors. I know one of the vendors that is back again this year, a product that I just love, and I love the story behind it. That's Arizona Tube Art, and that's a gentleman who was in the construction business, and the business kind of went south. Construction had a downturn, and so he worked in pipe, and so he came up with a creative way to take this highly polished pipe now and then laser cut images into it. And I guess if you want to put it in simple terms, they're like night lights or almost like candle holders. You can put an LED candle inside these things. And if you visit his tent along, I haven't been there this year, but each year he has a a tent that's darkened so that you can walk in and see what these things look like at night. I've got several of them in my home. They serve as great night lights in the guest bedroom, in the bathrooms, those sort of things. And they're great just decorative pieces. So go by, and they're one of the many vendors you'll find over there on the main street, but one of my favorites. I love the story of how the product came about simply as a creative entrepreneurial type thing, and he's been a regular with us here at Balloon Fiesta now for a few years. So I noticed his trailer and truck were here earlier this week, so I know he's there. I haven't seen him yet this year. But Arizona Tube Art is one of the great products you can find along Main Street as you do some shopping today and throughout the week.
So I'm looking up high. Those balloons that were headed back to the northwest actually seem to have a little bit more speed to their track now than they didn't. Winds, of course, go different directions and different speeds at different altitudes, thus all the different patterns and maneuvering that we saw today. And there's actually also a clue in there. You heard the mayor say we're expecting a cold front.
I was just going to say,
little winds this afternoon. Well, that's a precursor of what might be coming down, because that's usually what happens.
There was a concern, as I was watching the weather last night before going to bed early, they were saying, they thought the mass ascension this morning would be a yellow light because there was a possibility we would have winds at 10 to 20 miles per hour. But it depends on the arrival of that cold front that's coming. Well, clearly the front has not hit us, as the mayor so accurately pointed out. And but typically we see the first vestiges of it. The winds at altitude will begin to gain speed, and then those winds move down, mix down to the surface, and it will get windy here on the ground. So as we see, and you're right, as you look above, we can see the balloons passing overhead are moving at slightly higher speed than they were earlier.
Right.
That's probably the first signs that front is nearing us. And later today, we may indeed have some strong winds to deal with. But this morning has been virtually perfect for this opening mass ascension of the 47th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta.
I want to mention one of the other collectible items that we have here, and of course we've had posters, official posters for years.
Right.
And coming up on the 50th anniversary, the 50th Balloon Fiesta in 2021. We have started a series of 4 posters this year, going back to the early days, the very first Balloon Fiestas. We had this Roadrunner and Coyote races.
Yes.
And so we featured the Warner Brothers Coyote and Roadrunner cartoons. We've returned to that for this year's poster. So the Warner Brothers Roadrunner and Coyote are on the poster with a balloon this year, and it is the first in a series of 4 leading up to 2021 now.
What? And who was the artist? His studio is here, and he was the artist who drew the Roadrunner and the Coyote. And
I'm trying to remember what the first one's name was.
I can't think.
I can visualize his name on the poster hanging in the wall.
Well, because I was going to say several years ago now, we did chase flags that had illustrations.
Yes.
Chuck was his first name.
It's coming. Jones.
Yes.
Chuck Jones.
Yes.
Chuck Jones.
And we had chase flags that had the Coyote and the Roadrunner on it, and I've got those flags at home in my collection.
Oh, huh.
From the Chuck Jones collection, and so it's interesting that you guys go back to that. Of course, the Roadrunner and the Coyote is the Albuquerque version of the standard hot air balloon competition, which is the Hare and Hounds.
Yes. So they were the first of a series of 4, the poster this year. The idea is start collecting those, get one this year, and then the whole series of 4 is planned out. So we're able to move forward with that. So it's another way to get in on that. And if you don't get it this year, then you won't be able to get the whole set.
Yeah.
So it'd be a great time to pick up those posters. They are available numbered and signed.
Yeah.
And it's really a really nice looking poster this year.
Well, and speaking of posters, quick shout out to my friend Mark Passan, who is, I hope, watching over in the UK. And Mark, for a number of years, was the artist who created our Special Shapes Rodeo posters. And
yes.
I have a series of those that Mark designed that are numbered and signed at home. Not a huge poster collection, but I do have those from my friend Mark. And typically those posters all increase in value if
Yes,
you
they
hang
do.
on to them long
Yes,
enough.
they
So
do.
I'll have to pick up the first of that series of 4. That'll be something to have, I think.
You may have seen the Civil Air Patrol balloon get airborne a little bit earlier. We didn't get a chance to announce it as they got away, but Ruth Lind has managed to catch up with some folks from the Civil Air Patrol. Ruth?
Oh my goodness, we're over here at B7 and the Civil Air Patrol team was driving down the road here with their balloon and all these cadets were marching in perfect step in formation as their chase vehicle left the field. So I just had to stop them and say, hey you guys, come talk to us. So I have Destiny Maurer here, and Destiny, tell me what you're doing on the field this week.
We're working with the New Mexico Wing Civil Air Patrol balloon integrity. We're going to be here all week doing the mass ascension. We'll also be here Saturday and Sunday this weekend and next Saturday for the glows. Our primary goal here is, of course, to advertise, promote, do some public affairs, but also we want to be able to teach our cadets and our senior members a little bit more about the program, give them the opportunity to crew whenever they may not always be able to make it out.
And what exactly does the Civil Air Patrol do here in the Albuquerque area?
So Civil Air Patrol has 3 core missions. We have the cadet program, so that'd be myself and the other cadets. We have aerospace education, so obviously the balloon is a great example of that. We also have powered aircraft and glider aircraft as well within that. And then we have emergency services where we can go on search and rescue missions and other training exercises and that type of thing. Or if there's an actual emergency, we'll also go out during those.
When it's not Balloon Fiesta time, typically how much time every month do the cadets spend with the Civil Air Patrol?
Cadets will typically spend at least 2 to 3 hours a week at a squadron meeting. We do have integrity out almost every weekend, so that gives us at least another 2 hours on the weekends typically. We've put almost 100 hours on integrity just this year alone, so if that gives you any sort of example, we do have cadets out all the time with the balloon.
Oh my goodness, have any of your cadets obtained their balloon pilot's licenses?
We do have a couple cadets who have obtained their balloon pilot's license. We have 3 cadets who are currently in as student pilots or are going to begin student pilot status soon. We also have a private pilot who is now at the Air Force Academy on their competition flying team.
Oh my goodness. Now, you guys, you are, how do you refer to yourselves? You're captains, senior members. And is either of you the pilot of this balloon?
We are not.
You are not.
We are fixed wing pilots, but we're learning about the balloons.
Do you plan on getting your balloon rating?
We are considering it.
Oh, very non-committal. But you guys are up for it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you flown in a balloon yet?
No, ma'am.
Not yet, ma'am.
These are all actually fairly new crew members for us. I'm pretty sure this is your first time, right? Yes. Cadet Slack has helped us with the basket once in Santa Fe. I'm actually the only one then here who has done any crewing before, gone on a couple of rides, but hopefully we can get them out more, get them crewing so they have some experience before we put them in the basket.
This is absolutely fabulous, getting the young people involved in our sport. This is what we're trying to do here, one of the many missions. Thank you all so much for your service, and we appreciate that you're a part of Fiesta.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Great interview there, Ruth. Appreciate those guys. And it is fun to see that Civil Air Patrol balloon up every weekend here in Albuquerque and have all the cadets out there. And I think there's, she said there's 2 that have gotten their pilot's license. I think it's actually a little higher than that in talking to the folks that are running that that balloon program for Civil Air Patrol. But it's definitely a great way to bring some young folks into the sport. Like every sport, it seems like everyone's kind of aging out in those sports. Young folks aren't getting involved in them anymore.
Yeah, there's a real push to bring youth into the sport of ballooning, and in that same regard, I should put a quick plug in for the Balloon Federation of America, which operates youth balloon camps across the country. This year, there will be 3 camps, I believe, and Dawn Chase, don't hate me online because I don't have the information in front of me. I know one of the camps will be here in Albuquerque again this year, and at some point this week we'll get Mike Schrum who is the youth director for the Balloon Federation of America, to get online. We'll have him here with Ruth to talk about the BFA Junior Balloonist Camps.
They're talking about expanding that to 5 camps possibly this summer.
We were hoping of having 5 camps, but it hasn't worked out. But I know there are at least 3 this summer, and they are spread across the country. And they do a great job of immersing young people into the sport of ballooning, teaching them a lot about not only ballooning, but about weather, about the science of ballooning. And so it's all part, like the Civil Air Patrol, it's all a part of bringing youth into the wonderful world of aviation, whether it be light of the air or fixed wing or whatever. We'll be talking more about the camps during the course of this year. In the meantime, though, you can go to the website, bfa.net. That's B as in boy, F as in Frank, A as in Adam, or B as in balloon, F as in Federation, A as in America, the Balloon Federation of America.net, and you'll find a link there to the Balloon Camps website where you can get all the information that you need. But hopefully we'll have camp director and our youth director, Mike Schrum, with us at some point this week. Speaking of getting people into aviation, there is Cosmo, the spacey man. If you remember back in the early space race days, our astronaut balloon down there, that is Jerry and Cindy Holmes. Again, we have the benefit of seeing the back side of our little astronaut, but he's there in his orange space suit and the white helmet and the USA oxygen pack on his back. Also down there is Keystone Willie, the little cop balloon, and the POW MIA balloon is standing right there beside Keystone Willie, the black balloon, so that we don't ever forget those that are prisoners of war and or still missing in action. And unfortunately, there are far too many of those people, Americans, who fall into one of those 2 categories.
With all these balloons just doing a little static display here on the field, and I would just remind folks that this is a great time to kind of walk out in among those balloons. You know, this is considered by the Federal Aviation Administration an air show, and aviation regulations usually do not allow spectators on the flight line of an air show. So, but since we've been doing this, in fact, we've talked numerous times about that first one in 1972. They expected a few hundred people to come out, and 20,000 people came out. And so there was no way, there was like one policeman on a horse to do the crowd control for those 200 people, which, as I said, was 20,000. There was no way that was going to happen. So we've, from the very beginning, allowed spectators to be up close and personal with the balloons here. And you're certainly welcome to get out there and mix in among those. Many of the balloons, in fact, most of the balloons should have balloon trading cards. You might want to check with them about those. And I do feel a little bit of breeze on my face popping up here. We've talked about those breezes coming down here, and I see the balloons starting to kind of rock a little bit in that breeze. So just be careful when you are walking out among there. Do not get in front of any balloon that might be coming towards you. Well, and if a balloon is laying down, don't attempt to step over it, etc.
Yeah, don't walk on the fabric, and don't try to help unless you're asked to.
Yes.
Because you might pull on something that doesn't need pulling on. So you're welcome, obviously, to be on the field, but please be cautious while you're there. And as you were talking about, being welcomed out on the field, we are reaching that point now where there are balloons coming back and landing on the field, and that is allowable. But again, if you're a spectator and you're on the field, keep your wits about you. Don't get so involved in going ooh and ah and looking in all different directions that you don't see a balloon that might be coming right at you. The pilots, of course, will be very careful about not landing in an area where, hopefully, where there are a lot of people, and our launch directors are still on the field, and they'll be helping to guide any balloon in that wishes to land on the field. But there are balloons landing, and you do not want to be in front of one of those. They look like very giant, gentle giants, and they are, and yet a moving balloon can pack as much momentum as a moving 18-wheeler, or for my friends over in the UK and other parts of the world, is a great big lorry. And so, again, while you're welcome on the field, we want you to experience that, because this is one of the few places in the world where you can. We also don't want anybody getting hurt. So just be very cautious about you. And again, there are balloons landing back on the field. For example, here comes Andrew Hawley landing Tall Steve. Our penguin chick is just coming back to the field.
Only one pass to the field today?
Andrew, we need to talk, because last year he was overhead of us, I think, 4 or 5 times.
One day he came over 4 times, I remember.
Yeah. He was making a real spectacle of himself, as Andrew sometimes likes to do. But
we just had a great shot on our feed here of the top of a balloon. It was being deflated, and you saw this big opening at the top, almost looked like a big hole. But that's how the pilots control the altitude of the balloon. Put heat in, it goes up, but let the heat out by opening that top, that vent at the top, and that allows the heat to escape and the balloon can come down. And so we had a great shot of, actually we can see it on center stage there as well. For such a big balloon, that's really a very small top in center stage.
Yeah,
there, but you get to see how it's being held open there by a line that goes all the way down to the basket. So Beth's holding
and when
onto
you want to deflate, the pilot pulls that line, which pops that top. It's kind of like a cork in a bottle, if you will. And when you pop that cork out or open it up, it allows the air to flow up and out the top of the balloon and deflate. But one of the reasons that seems like such a small vent for a balloon as big as center stage, as you were saying earlier. Most special shapes are built around a traditional, somewhere within the balloon there is a traditional round balloon, and that's where the lift comes from. So that's the air that has to escape. All the other stuff is just add-on appendages to make the shape,
all
to
that
create
square
the image.
Stuff there. Yeah.
It doesn't really provide a great deal of lift, and that air can be squeezed out of the balloon once you start to deflate the balloon, but the vent is just big enough to allow.
We can watch this happen again on Tall Steve. Here it is there. So here's a great shot of that where you can watch that exact thing happen.
Tall Steve is getting a lobotomy right about now, as a matter of fact. There you see that big opening at the top of the balloon, and you can see that's actually called in most balloons a parachute vent, because it's like a round, like the old round parachutes that they jumped in the airborne back in World War II. And that parachute is held in initially by Velcro. It's tabbed into place when you inflate the balloon. Here comes another one that's deflating right in front of us. And again, you can see that parachute vent that pulls down out of the top like a cork and opens up that big hole. It's held in place with Velcro initially when you inflate the balloon, but once the balloon is full and inflated, it's held in by air pressure. So that vent, the pilot can actually activate that rope, pull that vent open and release air in flight, and then allow the vent to close, and the air pressure pushes it back up in place and holds it there. So the Velcro is only used to initially inflate the balloon. Once it's inflated, the cold air, or the hot air as it were, in the balloon, the pressure keeps it in place and allows the pilot to open and close it as needed during flight to vent air, to vent heat out. And the reason you do that is if you want to start the balloon in a downward direction, then you need to get rid of some heat, because hot air rises, cold air stays close to the ground. So the pilot can open that vent, allow a little air to vent out the top, and that will start the balloon into a descent. Or deflate if you pull it and hold it completely open for a while.
There you go. You can always just kind of wait for the balloon to cool off, but if you want control, I want to move faster or I really want to control, that's when I use the vent there, exactly. Hey, Debbie wanted to know, we were talking about all that merchandise before. Debbie wanted to know if there's a way to buy that from Texas. Well, the easiest way would be to get on a plane, come over here and get it.
Sure.
But actually, we talked about balloonfiesta.com. Right across the top, there is a merchandise tab, and there is an online store. Many of the items are available online as well. Some are unique to specific places on the field, but most of the items I've talked about, including that first in a series of 4 posters and many of the pins, are available on balloonfiesta.com. There's a merchandising tab and an online store there.
Well, and I'll be driving back across Texas when this is over with. So, Debbie, depending on where you are, if you ask nicely, maybe we can stop and meet along the way. We're going to motor west. I'm not sure where that came from.
So I think we're probably getting it's 9 o'clock, and so we're going to have some entertainment on the stage.
So that was a cue of sorts, maybe?
So I think that might be part of that here, which actually probably is a good time. I think we've got balloons still in the air, still flying. We've got a few standing up around here, but for the most part,
we're pretty much done.
We're done for the morning here.
Put a fork in us.
So let's just remind everybody that, and thank everybody for watching us on Facebook, YouTube, and balloonfiesta.com. We have a balloon glow this afternoon. And
that's right.
So we will be back live with you about 5:45 Mountain Time.
And a new feature will be skydivers coming into the park this evening with
yes,
the American
we will.
flag.
We'll have those.
Prior to the glow, and again prior to the fireworks tonight, who have a new sponsor, you were telling me.
The fireworks are now sponsored by Sandia Casino and Resort.
Okay.
Every casino puts that just a little bit different. But Sandia
Yeah.
Casino is basically the sponsors, resort and casino, the sponsors of the fireworks and fabulous fireworks here as well.
And just before we say goodbye, though, I want to point out quickly, inflating on the field now, one of my favorite balloons, Great Expectation. Dr. Steve Comodina looks like he's inflating his balloon, which is a robin's egg blue egg with a stork crashing through it, delivering a special little package, as storks are known to do. And so,
as a student pilot, I got to fly the first version of that. This is the second version.
This is the second one, yes.
Second one, as they wear out, fabric wears out. I got to fly the first one in Taos many years ago.
Yeah, there's a shot of it on the feed. So that balloon is
go.
Great Expectation. And good to see Dr. Comodina out here again this year. He's a longtime participant at Balloon Fiesta and supporter of ballooning, and does a lot of work with youth here in the community as well. So good to see Steve here.
So we've had a great morning, and it's 1 of 14, so we're off to a great start.
Hey, we're batting 1,000 so far. We got Dawn Patrol off this morning. We got the Krispy Kreme glow done, and now we've had our first mass ascension of the year. So
specials, the Balloon Glow tonight, another mass ascension scheduled for tomorrow morning as well. You can watch it all live on Balloon Fiesta Live. Thank you for watching us there. Thank you for joining us here on the field. For Kim Vesley, Ruth Lind, all of our Windfire production folks here, and all the Balloon Fiesta Live team, he's
Glen Moyer.
I'm Art Lloyd Jr. We'll see you again this afternoon.
This has been live coverage of the 2018 Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta presented by Canon. Always in October and always in Albuquerque, the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta is the world's premier ballooning event. This program is a production of AIBF Inc., all rights reserved. Thanks for watching Balloon Fiesta Live.